That night, while I lay on the cold bathroom floor with a stabbing pain in my hip, I heard the words that would change everything. "We have to put her in a nursing home immediately, Jason. She cannot take care of herself anymore." Natalie's voice came through the door, firm and decisive, as if I were no longer there. "My name is Margaret Brooks. I am 58 years old, and this is the story of how a fall saved my life. But let us start at the beginning. That afternoon had been like any other. I brewed coffee on the stove, the aroma of cinnamon filling the kitchen as always. My house in the suburbs had that smell. Freshly baked bread flours coming in through the window and the soft sound of doves in the backyard. I lived there for 32 years. I chose every tile. I planted every pot in the garden with my own hands. That house was my life, my refuge, the place where I raised Jason, my only son. Jason was always a good boy, quiet and studious. He became an accountant and met Natalie at a business conference in Chicago. When he introduced her to me, I remember smiling. She was pretty elegant and dressed in that modern style I never had. "Mom, this is Natalie, my girlfriend." She extended her hand. I shook it. Her fingers were cold despite the heat of May. "A pleasure, Mrs. Brooks." "The pleasure is mine, honey." But there was something in her look, something I could not decipher at that moment. Like when you look in a mirror and see your reflection, but you know there is something behind the glass that you cannot quite see. They got married 8 months later, a beautiful wedding in my backyard. I baked the chocolate cake myself. Natalie smiled in the photos, but she never hugged me, not even when I gave her the keys to the guest room. "You can stay here as long as you need children. This house is yours too." Jason kissed my forehead. "Thanks, Mom. It will only be while we save for our own place." 6 months turned into a year, then 2. Things started to change little by little so slowly that I did not even notice at first. Natalie began to reorganize the kitchen. "Margaret, do you not think it would be better to put the cups here? It is more practical." "Sure, honey, whatever you say." Then it was the living room. "This sofa is already very old. Jason and I could buy you a new one." "It is not necessary, Natalie. That sofa has history." "But it is stained." I bit my tongue. "I bought that sofa when Jason was 5 years old. We watched cartoons there together every Sunday. I comforted him there when his father left us, but I said nothing. I wanted to keep the peace. The meals also changed. Natalie did not eat what I prepared. I have a special diet, Margaret. Nothing personal." "I understand, honey." But something in her tone made me feel that every dish I made was wrong, that my seasoning was no longer enough, that I was no longer enough. And Jason, my Jason started looking at me differently, as if suddenly I were more fragile, more clumsy. "Mom, be careful with those stairs." "Son, I have climbed these stairs for 30 years. "I know, but you are not so young anymore." 58 years. When had I become old? Then came that afternoon, the afternoon of the bath. I went in to shower after watering the plants. The floor looked strange, shiny, more than usual. I thought maybe Natalie had cleaned. She always said I did not clean well. I turned off the water faucet. I took a step and the world tilted. My feet slipped as if the ground were ice. My body hit the tiles with a dry thud. The pain in my hip went through me like a knife. "Jason!" I screamed. "Jason, help me!" I heard hurried steps. The door opened. "Mom!" What happened? My son lifted me carefully. I was trembling not from pain, but from fear, because something on that floor was not right. I slipped. "See Jason." Natalie's voice came from the hallway. "I told you, she cannot be alone anymore. It is dangerous." Dangerous. That word was left floating in the air while Jason helped me to my bed. "Rest, Mom. Tomorrow we will go to the doctor." "I am fine, son. It was just a slip." But when they closed the door, I stayed staring at the ceiling. And for the first time in many years, I felt fear in my own house. That night I could not sleep. The pain in my hip kept me awake. But more than the pain it was, that thought that did not leave me in peace. Why was the floor so slippery? Why was Natalie not surprised when I fell? Why did she sound so prepared? At 2 in the morning, I heard their voices in the living room. They were speaking in low voices. But the walls of that house were thin. I built that house myself. I knew every inch. We cannot go on like this, Jason. Natalie, she is my mother. And I am your wife. Think about us, about our future. She has this huge house. We have nothing. My mom has given us everything. Everything. We live like guests. When are we going to have something of our own? Silence. We have to put her in a nursing home immediately, Jason. She cannot take care of herself anymore. Look what happened today. What if next time is worse? What if she hits her head? This is for her own good. I closed my eyes. Tears rolled down my cheeks, wetting the pillow. My daughter-in-law wanted to get me out of my own house, and my son said nothing. There are moments in life that one keeps like photographs in an album, sharp images that return when you least expect it. That morning, lying in my bed with my sore hip, I closed my eyes and went back to those days, the days when everything was simpler. When Jason was born, I was 26 years old. His father, Robert, worked in a hardware store, and I sewed dresses for the ladies in the neighborhood. We did not have much, but we had enough. We had love. Or at least that is what I believed for 15 years. One random Tuesday, Robert did not come home. He left a note on the kitchen table. "Forgive me, Margaret. I am not the man you need." Jason was 11 years old. That night, he cried on my chest, asking me why his dad did not love us anymore. It is not that he does not love us, my love. It is just that sometimes adults get lost, but you and I are never going to get lost. Do you promise me? I promise you, Mom. And he kept his promise. Jason was an exemplary son. He never disrespected me. He never lied to me. He got good grades. On Sundays, he helped me cook. Tired of sewing, he had already set the table. "I made grilled cheese, Mom, just how you like it." "Oh, my beautiful boy, what would I do without you?" "You are never going to be without me, Mom, I promise." I worked day and night so he could study. I sold dresses, embroidery cakes. When Jason entered the university to study accounting, I cried with pride. My son, the son of a seamstress in college. "This is for you, Mom, for everything you did for me." "No, my love, this is yours, your effort, your intelligence." And when he graduated with honors, I felt that everything had been worth it. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every dollar saved. Jason got a good job at an accounting firm. He started earning well. He gave me money every month. "Mom, you do not have to sew so much anymore. Rest." "Oh, son, I would not know what to do without my sewing machine." But I did rest a little. For the first time in years, I could sit on the patio in the afternoons without feeling guilty. I could water my plants calmly. I could bake bread just because I craved it, not because I had to sell it. The house stopped being just a roof. It became a home, a place of peace, until Natalie arrived. I remember the first time she came to visit us. Jason was nervous like I had never seen him. "Mom, I want you to meet someone very special." "A girlfriend?" I asked with excitement. "Yes. Her name is Natalie. She is incredible, Mom. She is smart, hardworking, ambitious." Ambitious. That word should have alerted me, but I only saw the happiness in my son's eyes. "I am very happy, my love. When are you bringing her?" "This Saturday. Can you make your pot roast? I want to impress her." "Of course, son. I will make the best roast of my life." And so it was. That Saturday, I got up at dawn, prepping the meat, chopping the vegetables, stirring the pot carefully. A good roast takes time, takes patience, takes love, and I put all of that into it. When they arrived, I opened the door with a smile. Natalie was beautiful. Straight, shiny hair, flawless makeup. She wore a beige suit that looked expensive, very expensive. Her shoes had high, thin heels shoes that could never walk on the dirt of my garden. "Mrs. Brooks, what a pleasure to meet you," she said, extending her hand. I shook it. Her fingers were cold. I thought maybe it was from the car air conditioning. "The pleasure is mine, Natalie. Come in, come in. Dinner is ready." We sat in the dining room. I served the roast with mashed potatoes and fresh biscuits. Jason ate with gusto, as always. Natalie barely touched her plate. "You do not like it, honey?" I asked with concern. "No, it is not that. It is just that I have a somewhat delicate stomach, but it looks delicious, ma'am." "Try just a little. I made it with all my love." She took a small bite. She chewed slowly. She smiled, but her eyes did not smile. "It is very rich. It is just that I am not used to such seasoned food." Seasoned. As if my food was too much, as if I was too much. Jason noticed my discomfort. "Natalie comes from the city, Mom. They eat differently there." "Of course, son. Every region has its own thing." But something broke in that moment. Something small, invisible, like a crack in a cup that does not leak yet but is already damaged. After the meal, Natalie asked to see the house. "Jason has told me so much about this place. I want to see it all." I showed her every corner with pride. The patio where the hydrangeas grew, the kitchen with its vintage tiles, the living room with the sofa where Jason and I watched movies. Natalie walked looking at everything with attention. Too much attention. "It is a cozy house," she said finally. Cozy. That word sounded like a euphemism, like when someone says interesting but actually thinks horrible. "Thank you, honey. I built it with a lot of effort. It shows. It has character." Character. Another polite word for old. When they left, Jason hugged me at the door. "What did you think, Mom?" I wanted to tell him the truth. I wanted to tell him that something about that woman unsettled me, that her words were correct but her eyes were cold, that she smiled with her mouth but not with her soul. But I saw his face. That face full of hope, and I could not. "She is very pretty, son. If you are happy, I am happy. I am the happiest man in the world, Mom." I hugged him tight, very tight, as if I wanted to protect him from something that did not have a name yet. Months passed. Jason brought Natalie over more frequently. She was always polite, always correct, but never warm. She never asked me how I was. She never offered to help with the dishes. She never took off her shoes to walk barefoot in the grass as I did every afternoon. One day, Jason arrived with news. "Mom, Natalie and I are getting married." "Oh, son, what happiness." And it was happiness. It really was, but it was also something else, something I did not want to accept, a small shadow in the bottom of my heart. "We want to do the wedding here in the garden. Is that okay?" "Here, seriously?" "Of course, Mom. This is my home. I want Natalie to feel it is hers, too." Hers. That word stayed with me. The wedding was beautiful. I baked the biggest chocolate cake of my life. The hydrangeas were in full bloom. The sky was clear. Everything was perfect, except that when Natalie cut the cake, she looked at the house with those cold eyes, and I knew, even if I did not want to accept it, that she was not seeing a home. She was seeing a property. After the honeymoon, they returned. "Mom, can we stay here a few months, just while we save for our place?" "Of course, son. This is your house. It always will be." Natalie smiled, but it was not a smile of gratitude. It was something else. And so it began. The slow slide toward a cliff I did not see yet. The first weeks were tolerable. Natalie and Jason occupied the guest room. I gave them the embroidered sheets I had saved for years, the ones that had initials embroidered by hand, the ones I thought I would give Jason someday when he had his own house. "Thanks, Margaret," said Natalie, taking them. "They are antiques. They are over 20 years old. I embroidered them myself. It shows." Again, that smile that did not reach her eyes. The first days I tried to include her in everything, in the meals, in the talks, in the house routine. I wanted her to feel part of the family. I wanted her to call me Mom as I had called my mother-in-law when Robert and I got married. But Natalie always kept that elegant distance, that invisible border she never invited me to cross. "Good morning, Margaret," she said every morning. Never "Good morning, mother-in-law," never "Good morning, Mrs. Brooks," only Margaret, as if we were co-workers, as if there were no tie between us beyond Jason. The first fracture arrived a Tuesday morning. I was in the kitchen making breakfast, scrambled eggs with bacon pancakes, hot coffee. The smell filled the whole house. It was Jason's favorite breakfast since he was a boy. Natalie appeared in the kitchen doorway. She wore yoga pants and a sports top. She had her hair up in a high ponytail. She looked perfect, even just waking up. "Good morning, Margaret." "Good morning, honey. Breakfast is almost ready." "Oh, I am not going to eat that." I stopped with the spatula in the air. "No, you do not like eggs." "It is just that I am on a very strict diet. Low carb, no saturated fats. Besides, that bacon has too much sodium." I looked at my pan. The bacon sizzled. The eggs mixed with that yellow color that my son liked so much. "Well, I can make you something different. What would you like?" "Do not worry, I prepare my own protein shake." She took a bag with green powder out of the refrigerator, green like grass. She mixed it with water in a small blender she had brought from her honeymoon. The noise was shrill in the silent kitchen. "And what is that powder?" I asked with genuine curiosity. "It is spirulina chlorella vegetable protein. It is what I drink every morning." "Ah, it looks healthy." "It is. You should try it, Margaret. At your age, it is important to watch your diet." At your age. I was 58 years old. I was not an old woman, but the way she said it as if I were already with one foot in the grave. "I feel fine with my food, thanks." "For now, but cholesterol, blood pressure, all that comes later. It is better to prevent." Jason entered at that moment, fresh from the shower with damp hair. "Smells delicious, Mom. Your favorite breakfast, son." He sat at the table. I served him a generous plate. He ate with pleasure. Natalie sat next to him, drinking her green shake, watching Jason's plate as if it were poison. "My love, you should take care of yourself more," she told him. "That fat is not good for you." Jason laughed. "Nat, I have eaten this my whole life. I am perfectly fine. For now. But when we get to 60... Again, that reference to age, as if reaching 60 were a disease. "My mom is 58 and she is healthy as an oak," said Jason, defending me. "Of course," replied Natalie with that smile. "But it never hurts to be careful." "Right, Margaret." "Right," I replied. But I did not return the smile. That same week, Natalie started reorganizing things. First, it was the pantry. I arrived at the kitchen and found all my cans and jars on the floor. "What happened here?" "Oh, Margaret, I am reorganizing. This was very disorganized. The grains go here, the cans there, the spices here. But I had my own system." "System, Margaret, there were beans next to the coffee. It makes no sense." For me, it did. Trust me. I studied interior design for a semester. I know how to optimize spaces. 1 semester. And she was already an expert in my kitchen that I had organized for 30 years. "Okay," I said, because I did not want to fight, because I wanted to keep the peace. But when she left, I stood looking at the pantry. Everything was in places I did not remember. The things I used every day were now on the highest shelves. The things I never used were at hand. That night, when I wanted to make coffee, I could not find the jar. I spent 10 minutes looking for it. It was behind some tuna cans I never bought. Jason entered the kitchen. "What are you looking for, Mom?" "The coffee. Natalie reorganized everything, and now I cannot find anything." Well, it ended up more tidy, right?" I wanted to tell him no. That tidy for her did not mean tidy for me, that this was my kitchen, my house, my life. But I saw his face, that face that now always seemed a little tired, a little stressed, and I did not want to add more weight. "Yes, son, it looks very good." Lie. The first of many lies I started telling myself. Then it was the living room. A Saturday afternoon, I arrived from the market with my grocery bags. I entered the house and stopped dead. My sofa. The sofa where Jason and I had watched 1,000 movies, where he had slept when he had nightmares as a child, where I had cried the night Robert left. It was covered with a beige blanket. "What is this?" I asked. Natalie was arranging new cushions. White cushions with gray stripes, modern, cold. A cover. I got one that matches the decor. "What decor?" "The one I am creating. This sofa has stains, Margaret, and the color is very faded. It is a 30-year-old sofa." "Of course it has stains. It has history." "It has neglect." I stayed quiet. That word was like a slap. It is not neglect, Natalie. It is life. Call it what you want, but it does not look good. And since Jason and I live here now, I want the house to look presentable. Presentable. Yes, in case visits come, in case my friends come. I do not want them to think we live in, In what? In a neglected place. There was that word again. I left my grocery bags on the floor. I sat on my sofa. My sofa covered now with that beige blanket that erased all memories. Natalie, this is my house. And now it is our house, Margaret. We are family. Family. How ironic that she used that word while erasing every trace of the family I had built. Does Jason agree with this? It was his idea, actually. He wants me to feel comfortable here. Lie. It had to be a lie. My son would never do this to me without asking. But when Jason arrived that night from work, he looked at the living room and smiled. "It looks good, Nat. More modern. Right. Your mom is also happy with the change." He looked at me expecting confirmation. "Yes," I said. "It looks very good." Lie number 2. The following weeks were a succession of small changes, small invasions. The photos of Jason as a child that were on the wall were replaced by abstract paintings Natalie bought at a home decor store. It is just that those photos are very yellowed, Margaret, and the frames are out of fashion. "But they are memories." "The memories are here," she said, pointing to her heart. "You do not need the photos on the wall." Easy for her to say. She had not raised a son alone. She had not worked 16 hours a day, so that boy in the photos could go to college. The patio pots were reorganized. "Margaret, this is very cluttered. I am going to create a more harmonic composition." "But every plant has its place. Now they will have a better place." My geraniums ended up in the shadiest corner. My hydrangeas were pruned without my permission. The rose bush I had planted when Jason was born was moved to a place where it got almost no sun. "Natalie, the rose bush needs direct sun." I studied landscaping in an online course. I know what I do. Online course versus 30 years of dirtying my hands with soil. But I said nothing because every time I opened my mouth, Jason seemed to get tense, as if I were the problematic one, as if I were the one causing conflicts. One afternoon, while watering the plants, my neighbor Rose peeked over the fence. "Margaret, are you okay?" "Yes, Rose. Why do you ask?" "It is just that I see you differently, like quieter." "I am fine. It is just that now I live with my daughter-in-law. One has to adapt." Rose frowned. "Is she the one who changed your whole patio?" "Yes, she wants it to look more harmonious." "It looked beautiful before. It had your touch, Margaret. Now it looks, I do not know, cold." Cold. Exactly what I felt but dared not say out loud. It is her house too now, Rose. It is your house, Margaret. You built it, you paid for it. Jason grew up here. That girl just arrived. She is my son's wife. I have to make her feel welcome. There is a difference between making her feel welcome and letting her erase you, my friend. I stood with the hose in my hand, watching the water run over the plants that were no longer where I had put them. She is not erasing me, Rose. Are you sure? I did not answer because I was not sure of anything. That was the only space in the house Natalie had not improved yet. It still had my floral curtains, my old vanity with the stained mirror, my hand-knitted quilt. I took my rosary from the nightstand, the one my grandmother had given me for my first communion. I passed the beads between my fingers. "Dear God," I whispered, "give me patience, give me wisdom, help me keep the peace in my house." But a part of me, a small part I did not want to hear, told me something different. It told me that peace is not kept with silence, that sometimes peace is destroyed precisely because we keep silent too long. I closed my eyes. I tried to sleep, but sleep did not come because I was starting to feel something I had never felt in 30 years. I was starting to feel like a stranger in my own house. There is a difference between yielding and submitting. Yielding is choosing peace. Submitting is losing pieces of yourself until you no longer know who you were. I did not know it then, but I was doing it. Months passed like water through fingers. October, November, December. And with each month, my house looked less like my house and more like a place where I was barely a tenant. December arrived with its promises of parties, food, and family gatherings. It had always been my favorite month. Since Jason was a child, I decorated the whole house. The nativity scene occupied half the living room. I put lights in every window, baked ginger cookies that filled the house with that smell of cinnamon and cloves. "Mom, are you going to put up the nativity?" Jason asked every 1st of December. "Of course, my love. It is tradition." That year, when I took the boxes out of the attic, Natalie appeared. "What is all that?" "The Christmas decorations. We always decorate on the 1st of December." She looked at the boxes with that expression I already knew, that mix of polite disdain and silent superiority. "Margaret, those decorations are very old. The shepherds have peeling paint, the Virgin Mary is faded, the St. Joseph has glue everywhere. Because I have repaired them for 30 years. Each figure has a story. They have dust and decay." I opened the box and took out the baby Jesus, the ceramic figure I had bought the year Jason was born. It had a small crack on the little head that I had glued with so much care. I bought this when Jason was born. I put it in his crib every Christmas Eve. Exactly my point. It is over 30 years old. Margaret, you cannot cling to the past all your life. Cling to the past, was that what I was doing? Or was I simply honoring my history? They are family traditions, Natalie. And we can create new traditions, more modern, more elegant. Jason entered carrying his briefcase. He came from work. "What is going on here?" "Your mom wants to put up that old nativity," said Natalie before I could speak. I was telling her we could buy a new one, a minimalist, one of those modern ones you see in magazines. Jason looked at the nativity. I saw something in his eyes, something like nostalgia, but it lasted barely a second. "Nat is right, Mom. Maybe it is time to renew. We can keep the old one as a souvenir and buy a new one." "Keep, yes, in a box, so it does not deteriorate further." So he does not see it anymore, I thought. So he does not touch it anymore. So it disappears like all the other things that matter to me are disappearing. "Okay," I said, because I did not know what else to say. Natalie smiled triumphantly. "Perfect. I will handle it. I know an incredible decor store." 3 days later, she arrived with a wooden nativity. Minimalist. Geometric figures without faces. Cold. So cold it did not seem to represent the birth of a baby, but a contemporary art installation. "What do you think?" she asked proudly. "It is different. It is elegant. You will see how it looks when my friends come for Christmas." Her friends. Not my friends. Not the neighbors with whom I had shared 30 Christmases. Her friends from the city who would come to judge my house with their critical eyes. That night, when everyone slept, I went down to the attic. I looked for the box where Natalie had stored my nativity. I opened it. I took the baby Jesus in my hands, and I cried. I cried for the first time since Natalie had arrived in my life. I cried in silence with the ceramic figure glued to my chest, feeling that I was losing something bigger than some Christmas decorations. I was losing my place in my own story. Christmas arrived. The house was decorated with Natalie's elegant style, white, silver, and gold, cold like a magazine catalog. Natalie's friends came to visit her, 3 women her age, elegant made up with brand name bags and rehearsed laughter. Girls, meet Margaret Jason's mom. Nice to meet you, I said, extending my hand. They looked me up and down. One of them, a blonde with very red lips, smiled. Oh, how cute did you make those cookies on the table? Yes, they are ginger. Family recipe. How traditional, she said with a tone that did not sound like a compliment. I do not bake anymore. That is what gourmet bakeries exist for. The other 2 laughed, Natalie too. My mother-in-law is very old school, said Natalie. She loves doing everything by hand. Old school. As if being hard-working were a defect. I retreated to the kitchen. From there, I heard them talk. Your house is beautiful, Nat. Thanks, I have been renovating it little by little. It was a disaster when I arrived. And the mother-in-law says nothing. She understands that we need to modernize. Besides, at her age, she no longer has the energy to keep everything like before. At her age. That phrase again, as if 58 years were the end of life. And do you live here permanently? For now. But we are looking at options. Jason wants a more central place closer to his work. This is very far out. And what is going to happen with the house? I do not know. Maybe we sell it. Maybe we rent it. We have not decided yet. I felt the ground move beneath my feet. Sell my house, the house I had built, the house I had worked 30 years for without even consulting me. I came out of the kitchen. The 4 women looked at me. Did you say sell the house? Natalie blinked. She did not expect me to have heard. Margaret, it was just a conversation, an idea, nothing concrete. This is my house, Natalie. Of course, but it is also Jason's house. He will inherit someday, right? We were just thinking about the future. I am alive. There is no inheritance to distribute. The friends exchanged uncomfortable looks. Of course, Margaret. No one is saying otherwise. They were just ideas, dreams. You know how women are when we get together. We talk about everything. But I had heard the tone of someone who was already planning, who was already counting the money my house would be worth in the market. That night, I waited for Jason to arrive from work. I was in my room when I heard him enter. I went out to find him. Son, I need to talk to you. Tell me, Mom, but quick because I am tired. I heard Natalie today. She talked about selling the house. Jason sighed, that sigh he now made every time I mentioned something related to Natalie. Mom, it is not a big deal. She was just chatting with her friends. But she spoke as if they had already decided. We have not decided anything. They are ideas, thoughts for the future. Jason, this is my house. I built it. I paid for it. I know, Mom. No one is taking your house. Then why do they talk about selling it? Because someday, Mom, someday I'm going to inherit it. And when that happens, Natalie and I will have to decide what to do with it. When that happens, as if my death were a pending procedure, as if I were already on the way out. I am 58 years old, Jason, not 68, not 78, 58. I can live another 30 years. I know, Mom, and I hope you live 100 years more. But you have to understand that Natalie and I also have plans, dreams. We cannot live here forever. No one is forcing you to live here. You asked me to stay a few months. It has been almost 2 years. Do you want to leave? No, son. I would never kick you out. But I also did not expect to start being treated like a nuisance in my own house. No one treats you like a nuisance. No, Natalie changed every corner of this house. My kitchen, my living room, my patio, even my Christmas nativity. And you allowed it. Without asking me, without consulting me, as if I no longer had a voice in my own home. Jason ran his hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration I knew since he was a child. Mom, you are exaggerating. Natalie just wants the house to look good. And before it did not look good, 30 years of my life were not enough for it to look good. It is not that. Then what is it, Jason? Because I no longer understand what is happening. I no longer understand what place I occupy in this family. You are my mother. You are always going to be my mother. But I am no longer the owner of my house, right? I no longer have the right to decide how my living room looks, or what decorations to put up, or where my plants go, because now Natalie decides everything. She lives here too. And me, I do not count anymore. Silence. A silence so long and heavy I felt I was drowning. Finally, Jason spoke. Mom, you are being unfair to Natalie. She has done a lot for this house, for this family. What has she done? Tell me. What has she done that I have not done for 30 years? She has brought modernity, order, elegance. Modernity, order, elegance. As if I had lived in chaos for 3 decades. I understand, I said. Understand what? That there is no longer a place for me here, or at least not for the person I am, for the old school, for the one who baked ginger cookies and had deteriorated nativities and cluttered plants. She does not fit here anymore, does she? Mom, do not put words in my mouth. I am not putting them. I heard them today. Natalie told her friends that I was old school, as if it were something shameful, as if my way of living were a problem to be solved. She did not mean that. Were you there? Did you hear them? No. But then you do not know what she meant. I do, because I have heard that tone for almost 2 years. That tone that says poor Margaret's so old-fashioned, so out of place in her own house. Jason approached. He tried to take my hands. I pulled away. Mom, please, I do not want to fight with you. I do not want to fight either, son. But I also do not want to disappear. And that is what is happening. I am disappearing in my own house. And you are allowing it. That is not true. No, where are the photos from when you were a child? Where is my nativity? Where are my embroidered cushions? Where is the sofa where I rocked you when you had nightmares? Everything is covered, hidden, replaced as if our history together was worth nothing. You are still being dramatic, Mom. Dramatic. Now I was dramatic for defending what was mine. You are right, I said. I am dramatic. Forgive me. I turned around and walked toward my room. Mom, wait. I closed the door. I sat on my bed. And again I cried in silence because I had just understood something terrible. My son was choosing, and he was not choosing me. The days after that conversation were strange. Jason avoided me. Natalie spoke to me with exaggerated politeness, as if I were a confused old woman who had to be treated with condescension. Good morning, Margaret. Did you sleep well? Good morning. Do you want me to make you something special for breakfast? As if I had not prepared thousands of breakfasts in that kitchen. No thanks, I can cook. Of course you can. I just want to help. At your age, it is important not to get too tired. At your age, at your age. At your age. Those words became a hammer, hitting my self-esteem every morning. One afternoon, I decided to go out for a walk. I needed air. I needed distance from that house that no longer felt mine. I walked through the neighborhood. I passed my neighbors' houses. Mr. Albert was watering his garden. Margaret, how are you? Good, Mr. Albert, and you? Here struggling with these rose bushes that do not want to bloom for me. Hey, I do not see your hydrangeas from the street anymore, before they peeked over the fence. They pruned them. They pruned them, but they were beautiful. My daughter-in-law thought they were very messy. Mr. Albert frowned. Hydrangeas are like that wild beautiful because they are free. If you prune them too much, they lose their essence. I stood looking at him. Was he talking about the plants or about me? You are right, Mr. Albert. Margaret, forgive me for meddling where I am not called, but I see you differently, dimmed. I am fine. No, you are not fine. I have known you since you arrived in this neighborhood with baby Jason in arms. I saw you build that house with your own hands. I saw you raise that boy alone. You were always a strong woman, and now you look like a shadow. The tears came without permission. I do not know what is happening to me, Mr. Albert. I do know. You are erasing yourself to keep the peace, not to make waves. But Margaret, sometimes waves are necessary. Sometimes you have to shake the water so it does not rot. It is just that I do not want to lose my son, and you are losing yourself in the process. Is it worth it? I did not answer because I did not know the answer. I returned home when the sun was starting to set. I entered through the back door. I heard voices in the living room, Jason and Natalie. I cannot stand this anymore, my love. Your mom makes me feel like an invader. It is not like that, Nat. She just needs time to adapt. How much time? We have been here almost 2 years. 2 years, Jason. And I still feel that this house is hers, not ours. Technically, it is hers, but someday it will be yours. It will be ours. Why do we have to wait so long? Silence. What are you suggesting? I am not suggesting anything bad. I am just saying that your mom is aging. Maybe it would be better for her to be in a place where they take care of her, a place where she does not have to worry about maintaining such a big house. A nursing home. Do not call it that. There are very nice residences with activities with people her age. She would be better there than here alone all day while we work. I do not know, Nat. I do not know if my mom would accept that. She does not have to accept it if there is a medical reason, if the doctor says she can no longer live alone. But she is healthy. For now. But at her age, anything can happen. A fall, a memory lapse. Anything that proves she needs help. My blood froze. Was Natalie suggesting what I thought she was suggesting? I do not know, Nat. It seems very drastic. Think about it. That is all I ask. Think about us, about our future, about the children we want to have. Do you really want to raise them here with your mom? Or do you want your own space, your own house where you and I are the owners? Let me think about it. I went up the stairs in silence. I entered my room. I locked the door. I sat on my bed. I was trembling. Natalie wanted to get me out of my house, and she was planting that idea in my son's head. But how was she going to make me look incapable of taking care of myself? A fall, she had said. A memory lapse. Anything. I lay in my bed. I closed my eyes. But I did not sleep. Because for the first time in my life, I was afraid. Afraid in my own house. Afraid of my own daughter-in-law. And worst of all, afraid that my son would choose to believe her instead of protecting me. January arrived with its characteristic cold. Mornings in the suburbs dawned with that dense fog that covered the patio like a gray cloak. I watched it from my room window, feeling that fog was also inside me, clouding my judgment, confusing my reality. 2 weeks had passed since I heard that conversation. 2 weeks in which I could not look at Natalie without feeling a knot in my stomach. 2 weeks in which every gesture of hers, every word, every smile seemed loaded with double intention. Was I becoming paranoid, or was I finally seeing what had always been there? The first incident occurred a Tuesday morning. I woke up early as always. At 6 in the morning, I was already in the kitchen making coffee. I opened the cupboard to take out my favorite mug. The blue ceramic mug Jason had given me when he turned 15. It had Mom written in gold letters. I reached for the shelf. My fingers touched the edge of the mug, and then it happened. The mug slipped as if someone had covered it with something greasy. It slipped from my hands and fell to the floor, shattering into 1,000 pieces. I stood looking at the fragments, blue on white. The gold letters separated the word Mom broken. What happened? Natalie appeared in the doorway with her yoga pants and sports top always perfectly groomed, even just waking up. My mug fell. "Oh, Margaret, you have to be more careful. At our age, hands no longer have the same firmness." Our age. As if she, with 32 years, were in the same category as me. It was not my firmness. The mug was slippery. Slippery. I washed the dishes last night. Maybe soap remained. Maybe. Or maybe not. I bent down to pick up the pieces. Each fragment hurt me, as if it were a piece of my heart. That mug had survived 15 years, and now it was destroyed. "Let me help you," said Natalie, bending down next to me. "I do not want you to cut yourself. At your age, wounds take longer to heal." At your age. Again. We picked up the pieces in silence, but when she left, I stayed looking at the trash can, and something made me doubt. Had it really been an accident? 3 days later, the second incident occurred. It was Friday. Jason had left early for an important meeting. Natalie had gone to the gym, or so she said. I was alone at home taking advantage to clean my room. I decided to change the sheets. I took off the old ones and went to the hall closet where I kept the linens. I opened the door. The sheets were on the top shelf, the highest one. Normally, I used a small stool to reach, but that day the stool was not where I always left it. I searched the whole house. Nothing. Finally, I found it. In Jason and Natalie's room, hidden in the closet as if someone had hidden it deliberately. I took it and returned to the hall closet. I climbed on the stool. I reached my arm toward the sheets. Just when my fingers touched the fabric, I felt the stool move. I wobbled. My arms flailed in the air, seeking balance. For a second, I thought I was going to fall, that my head would hit the floor, that it would be the end. But I managed to grab the door frame. My heart beat like a war drum. I got off the stool with trembling legs. When I checked the stool, I discovered why it had moved. One of the legs had oil, fresh oil as if someone had smeared it recently. "Who?" I whispered to the empty air. I cleaned the oil with a rag. I kept the stool in my room. And for the first time, I locked my door. The third incident was the one that opened my eyes. It was Sunday afternoon. Jason had gone to watch a football game with his friends. Natalie was in the living room watching a series on her laptop. I had gone out to the patio to water the plants. My geraniums were dying. The ones Natalie had moved to the shade. I tried to revive them, watering them more, talking to them as I always did. "Come on, my girls. Do not give up on me. I know you do not like that corner. I would not like it either." While I watered, I stepped on something soft under my shoe. I lifted my foot and looked. It was a lemon, a rotten lemon, smashed against the ground. I frowned. I did not have a lemon tree. I had never had one. Where had it come from? I looked around. There were more. 3 more lemons scattered along the stone path leading from the back door to the patio, strategically placed, as if someone had put them there so I would slip. A rotten lemon is slippery, especially when it is smashed. If I had stepped on one while carrying the hose with the wet ground, I would have fallen. I picked up the lemons with trembling hands. I put them in a plastic bag. I did not throw them in the trash. I kept them. I did not know why. But something told me they were evidence of something. That night, I could not eat dinner. The knot in my stomach was too big. Jason noticed my silence. "Are you okay, Mom? You have hardly eaten." "I am fine, son. Just a little tired. You should rest more. You are not 20 anymore." "I am not 20 years old, but I am not 80 either." I went up to my room early. I closed the door. I took out the bag with the lemons. I put them on my dresser and sat on the bed looking at them. An accident can be an accident. 2 accidents can be coincidence. But 3. 3 dangerous situations in less than 2 weeks. I got up and looked for my old notebook. The one where I wrote down recipes and errands. I opened a blank page and started writing. Tuesday, January 8th. Slippery mug. Broken. Friday, January 11th. Stool with oil on the leg. Almost fell. Sunday, January 13th, rotten lemons on the patio path. I looked at the list. 3 incidents, 3 situations where I could have seriously hurt myself. And then I remembered the conversation I had heard weeks ago. Natalie's voice saying, "A fall, a memory lapse, anything that proves she needs help." My blood froze. They were not accidents. They were attempts. The following days, I stayed alert, hyper-vigilant. I checked every surface before touching it. I watched every step I took. I ate nothing I had not prepared myself. Natalie noticed. "Margaret, you are very nervous lately. Is everything okay?" "Everything is fine. It is just that I see you different, more cautious, as if you were afraid of something." I am not afraid of anything. But I was afraid. Terror, in fact. Fear of falling, fear of getting hurt, fear of giving Natalie exactly what she was looking for, an excuse to declare me incompetent. One afternoon while Natalie was at the supermarket and Jason at work, I decided to search her room. I am not proud to admit it, but I needed to know. I needed to confirm if what I was thinking was real or if I was finally going crazy. I entered with my heart beating in my throat. The room was impeccable, bed perfectly made, not a garment out of place. So different from the warm and messy room Jason had when he lived alone with me. I opened Natalie's drawers. Perfectly folded clothes, lace underwear organized by color, socks rolled up like in organization magazines. I looked in the closet, aligned shoes, bags in their original boxes, everything with expensive brand tags. Then I saw a box on the highest shelf, a shoe box, but something about it caught my attention. It was dusty, as if they hadn't moved it in a long time. Rare in an obsessively tidy person like Natalie. I climbed on a chair. I brought the box down. I opened it. Inside there were no shoes. There were papers. Brochures for nursing homes, 5 different ones, all with marks and handwritten notes. Retirement home, $1,800 monthly. Golden Villa residence, includes 24/7 nursing. St. Francis home, accepts early dementia cases. Early dementia. I did not have dementia, neither early nor late. But there was that brochure, marked with red pen. Under the brochures were more papers, copies of legal documents. I did not understand much about laws, but I recognized some words. Succession, sole heir, will, my will. Natalie had a copy of my will. When had she gotten it? And underneath everything, what froze my blood? A handwritten list with Natalie's perfect handwriting. Approximate property value $450 Saudi dollars. Location developing zone. Assured appreciation. Land 3,500 square feet. Possibility of building small apartment complex. Jason's sole heir according to 2018 will. My house reduced to numbers, to dollars, to square feet. And at the bottom of the page, a note that broke my heart. Plan demonstrate progressive incapacity. 3 and 6 months. Consult lawyer about legal guardianship. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the papers. Legal guardianship. Progressive incapacity. Demonstrate. Natalie was planning to declare me incompetent so she could commit me, so Jason could take legal control of my house so they could sell it or do whatever they wanted with it. And I would be locked in a nursing home watching my life be auctioned to the highest bidder. I took my phone. I took a photo of every paper, every page, every note. My hands were shaking, but I managed to capture everything. I put everything back exactly as it was. I put the box down on the shelf. I left the room. I closed the door. I went to my room. I locked it. I sat on my bed. And for the first time in weeks, I did not cry because there was no room for tears anymore. Now there was only room for clarity, cold and hard clarity like steel. That night, the 3 of us ate dinner together as always. Natalie had prepared a salad with salmon. I ate in silence, observing her. I studied her like I had never studied her. Her gestures, her way of smiling her eyes that deviated every time she looked directly at me. "Did you like dinner, Margaret?" she asked, with that fake sweetness. It was very good, Natalie. Thanks. You are welcome. I am thinking maybe we should take turns cooking. Me Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You Tuesdays and Thursdays. Weekends we can order food, so you do not get so tired. So I do not get so tired. So I cook less. So I gradually give up more spaces until there is nothing left of me in this house. Sounds good to me, I said with a smile. I could play that game too. The next morning, I called my neighbor Rose. Rose, can you come? I need to talk to you. Sure, Margaret, I will be there in 10 minutes. When she arrived, I ushered her into my room. I closed the door. I showed her the photos on my phone. Rose looked at them in silence. Her face went from surprise to horror to indignation. Margaret, this is... I know. Does Jason know? I do not know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But either way, my daughter-in-law is planning to get me out of my house and is creating accidents to justify it. I told her everything. The mug, the stool, the lemons, every incident I had noted in my notebook. Rose took my hands. Margaret, this is serious, very serious. You cannot stay silent. I know. But if I tell Jason, will he believe me he is in love with her? He thinks she is perfect. And I am the bitter mother-in-law who does not accept his wife. You are not a bitter mother-in-law. You are a mother being attacked in her own house. I need proof, Rose. Real proof, not just photos of papers. I need Natalie to give herself away, for it to be clear what she is doing. And how are you going to achieve that? I do not know yet, but I am going to be alert. I am going to document everything. And when I have enough evidence, I am going to act. Rose nodded. I will be pending. Anything you need, you call me, at any hour. Do you hear me? I hear you. We hugged, and for the first time in months, I did not feel completely alone. The following days were a silent war. Natalie played her role of concerned daughter-in-law. She asked me how I had slept. She offered me help with everything. But I saw behind every gesture. I saw how she reorganized my kitchen, putting heavy things on high shelves. I saw how she cleaned the bathroom, leaving the floor strangely slippery. I saw how she helped wash dishes, leaving cups with soap residue. Every action had a dual purpose. It seemed useful, but it was dangerous. And I documented everything. I noted every incident in my notebook. I took photos when I could. I kept evidence. But I said nothing because I knew I had to wait for the right moment. That moment arrived faster than I expected. It was Thursday afternoon. I had just returned from the market. I was carrying heavy bags. I entered through the front door. Natalie was in the living room with her laptop. Help you with the bags, Margaret. No thanks, I got it. I went to the kitchen. I put the bags on the counter, and then I heard her voice from the living room. She was on the phone. Yes, Dr. Ramirez. Is it about my mother-in-law? Yes. Margaret Brooks, 58 years old. Lately, she has had several incidents. She drops things. She almost fell off a stool. She is very forgetful. Yes. I think we need a geriatric evaluation. Next week, perfect. No. She does not know I am calling. I prefer to surprise her. You know how seniors are. They never accept they need help. Yes. Thank you very much, doctor. I stood paralyzed behind the kitchen door. Natalie was scheduling a medical appointment for me without my consent, a geriatric evaluation to declare me incompetent. She was no longer planning. She was executing, and time was running out. Friday dawned cloudy. One of those days where the suburban sky turns lead gray and threatens rain but never rains. I took it as a sign, a warning from the universe that something was about to happen. I was not wrong. That morning, Jason left early for a conference downtown. He would be out all day. He told me while having breakfast with that haste that was now constant in him. Mom, I will not be back until night. If you need anything, call Natalie. Call Natalie. The person who was planning to commit me. Perfect. Do not worry, son. I will be fine. Natalie came down half an hour later. She was on her way out, too. Margaret, I have a dentist appointment. I will be back in like 2 hours. Okay. Sure you will be okay alone. The way she said it, as if I were a child who cannot be left unsupervised. I have lived alone most of my life, Natalie. 2 hours are not going to kill me. Something shone in her eyes, something I did not know how to interpret at that moment. Sure, you are right. See you later. She left. I heard her car engine driving away. The house fell silent, a dense, threatening silence. I poured myself another cup of coffee. My hands shook a little. I did not know if it was from the caffeine or the nerves I had accumulated for weeks. I decided to take a bath. I needed to relax, feel the hot water on my tense back, wash away the fear that had stuck to my skin like a second layer. I went up to my room. I took clean clothes. I went to the hall bathroom, the only full bathroom in the house besides the one in Jason and Natalie's room. I always use this one so as not to invade their space. I opened the bathroom door. Everything seemed normal. The shower curtain was drawn. The mirror was a little foggy from Natalie's shower that morning. The towels hung neatly from the rack. I closed the door. I turned on the shower faucet. I waited for hot water to come out. Steam began to fill the bathroom. I undressed. I got in the shower. The hot water was a balm. I closed my eyes. I let it run through my hair, down my face, down my shoulders. For a moment, just for a moment, I forgot everything else. I stayed there longer than planned. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. I lost track of time under that stream of water that felt like a hug. Finally, I turned off the faucet. I pulled back the curtain. I stepped out, and I took a step on the bathroom floor. What happened next happened so fast my brain did not have time to process it. My feet slipped as if the floor were an ice rink, as if there were no friction whatsoever. Between my soles and the tiles, I tried to grab onto something. My hands desperately sought the wall, the sink, the curtain, anything. But it was too late. My body fell backward. My hip hit first, then my shoulder, then my head. The pain was instant electric, as if 1,000 needles had been stuck in me at the same time. I lay on the floor, naked, wet in pain, staring at the white bathroom ceiling while lights danced before my eyes. I tried to get up. I could not. My hips screamed, my shoulder throbbed, my head spun. "Help," I whispered. But there was no one home. I was alone, completely alone. I do not know how much time I spent there. 5 minutes, 10 an eternity. Finally, I managed to roll to one side. The pain was unbearable, but I endured it. I crawled toward the door. Every inch was agony. I managed to reach a towel. I covered myself as best I could. I sat with my back against the wall, panting, trembling, feeling my body had become one single big bruise. And then I saw it. The bathroom floor. Shiny, too shiny. It was not water. Water does not leave that texture. Water does not reflect light like that. It was something else. With a trembling hand, I touched the floor. My fingers covered in something greasy, viscous, slippery. Wax. The floor was covered in wax. Wax on a bathroom floor. Who puts wax on a bathroom floor where people shower? It was absurd, dangerous, intentional. I remembered Natalie's words that morning. "Sure you will be okay alone." It was not a question. It was a confirmation. She knew what was going to happen because she had planned it. I do not know how I managed to stand up. The human body is strange. In moments of crisis, it finds strength you did not know you had. I dressed with slow and painful movements. Every time I lifted my arm, my shoulder protested. Every time I bent my leg, my hip made me see stars. I went down the stairs clinging to the railing. Every step was a test. I reached the kitchen. I sat in a chair. I breathed deeply. I tried to think clearly despite the pain and fear. Natalie would be back soon. I had to act fast. I got up. I went to the hall bathroom again, this time careful not to step where I had fallen. I opened the cabinet under the sink. There were the cleaning products. And there, hidden behind the toilet cleaner, was the evidence. A can of floor wax, brand Extra Shine, for wood or ceramic floors, with a warning in red, Do not use on surfaces where there may be contact with water, extremely slippery. I took it. My hands shook so much I almost dropped it. This should not be here. I never bought floor wax. I had never used it. My house floor was tile. It did not need wax, and never ever would it occur to me to put wax in a bathroom. But someone had done it. Someone who wanted me to fall. Someone who needed me to get hurt to justify what she had been planning for months. I left the bathroom with the can in my hands. I went to my room. I hid it in the back of my closet behind boxes of old photos. Then I took out my phone. I took photos of the bathroom floor, the abnormal shine, the greasy texture, everything. Also took photos of my bruises. They were already appearing. A big one on the hip, another on the shoulder, a smaller one on the back of my head. Evidence. I needed evidence. I went down to the kitchen. I made myself a chamomile tea. My hands still shook. My whole body shook. And then I heard Natalie's car engine entering the driveway. Time was up. Natalie entered through the back door. She carried a grocery bag. Her face was a mask of normality. "I am back, Margaret. Everything okay?" I looked at her. Really looked at her, as if seeing her for the first time. "Everything okay," I said. She put the bag on the counter. Her eyes scanned me, quickly, looking for something. "Did you shower? Is your hair wet?" "Yes, I took a shower." "And everything okay? You did not slip or anything?" There it was, the question she carried behind her teeth, the confirmation of what I already knew. "No, everything okay. I was careful." Something crossed her face, something like disappointment, but she recovered quickly. "That is good, because that floor can be slippery after showering. One has to be very careful." "Yes," I said, "one has to be very careful." We looked at each other. The air between us was charged with the unsaid, with the truth both knew but neither verbalized. "Does something hurt?" she asked suddenly. "You look uncomfortable." "I am fine." "Sure, because you are touching your hip." I had not realized. Unconsciously, I had brought my hand to where it hurt most. It hurts a little. Maybe I slept wrong. Or maybe you fell and do not want to tell me. Her voice sounded concerned, but her eyes were cold, calculating. "I did not fall, Natalie. Because if you fell, we should go to the doctor. A fall at your age can be serious. It could be a sign of something more grave, balance problems, vertigo, things that happen when one starts to age." There it was again. Age as a weapon. As justification. As a sentence. "I told you I am fine. But if you fall again, if it happens again, we would have to consider safer options for you. Safer options. Like a nursing home." "I am not going to fall again," I said. "I hope so, because you worry me, Margaret. Really. You are my husband's mom. You are family, and family takes care of each other." Family takes care of each other. What pretty words coming from such a poisonous mouth. That afternoon, Jason arrived exhausted from his conference. We ate dinner together, the three of us. Roasted chicken Natalie bought at the supermarket. I barely tasted a bite. The pain in my hip was constant, but I said nothing. "How was your day, Mom?" Jason asked. "Quiet. I showered, rested. Nothing special." Natalie looked at me over her glass of water. Her eyes said, "I know something happened. I know you fell, and I know you are not telling me." But I held her gaze. My eyes said, "I know what you did. I have proof. And I am not going to let you win." "I am glad you rested, Mom," said Jason. "Lately, I see you more tired." "It is age," said Natalie before I could answer. "At 58, the body is not the same." "58 is not old," I said, with more force than intended. Jason looked at me surprised. Natalie raised an eyebrow. "No one said you were old, Margaret. Just that one has to take care more. Prevent. You know." Prevent. What a pretty word to say control. That night when everyone slept, I left my room. I went down the stairs carefully. I went to the backyard where the trash cans were. I turned on my cell phone flashlight. I opened the general trash can. I searched among the bags, and there it was, another bag, black, small, with something inside. I opened it. Rags that smelled like wax, the same ones used to spread wax on the bathroom floor, the ones that had turned that place into a death trap. Natalie had thrown them away, thinking I would never find them. That her plan would work and I would be in the hospital, hurt, scared, confirming her narrative that I could no longer take care of myself. I took the bag. I hid it in my room along with the can of wax. Evidence. Every time I had more evidence. Saturday morning, I woke up sore. The bruises had darkened during the night. My hip was a map of purples and blues. My shoulder was not far behind. I put on clothes that covered everything. Long pants, long-sleeved blouse. I did not want anyone to see the marks. I went down to breakfast. Natalie was in the kitchen. "Good morning, Margaret. How did you wake up?" "Good. Nothing hurts last night. I saw you walk funny." "I am fine, Natalie. Because if your hip hurts, we could go to the doctor, an x-ray, to make sure everything is okay." There she was again, insisting, pushing, wanting to take me to the doctor to confirm I had fallen, that I was weak, that I needed help. I do not need a doctor, but I said no. My tone was harder than intended. Natalie fell silent, but I saw something in her eyes. Frustration, maybe anger. Her plan had not worked as expected. I had fallen, yes, but I had not run to tell Jason. I had not gone to the hospital. I had not given her what she needed. That same day, while Natalie and Jason had gone to look at a house she wanted to show him to get an idea of what to look for when the time comes, she had said I called Rose. "Come please, it is urgent." Rose arrived in 15 minutes. I took her to my room. I locked the door. I showed her everything. The can of wax, the rags from the trash can, the photos of the bathroom floor, the photos of my bruises, the photos of the documents I had found weeks ago, my notebook with all the incident notes. Rose saw it all in silence. Her face went through all emotions: shock, horror, rage. "Margaret, this is an attempt to harm you. Yes, to commit me, to keep my house. You have to report her. This is a crime." "Report her, Rose. She is my son's wife. She is my daughter-in-law. If I report her, I lose Jason forever. And if you do nothing, what do you think will happen? She is going to try again, and maybe next time you do end up in the hospital, or worse, death." Would Natalie be capable of going that far? I looked at the can of wax, the rags, the photos of my bruises. Yes, she would be capable. "What am I going to do, Rose?" My friend took my hands. "First, you are going to keep all this evidence in a safe place, not here at my house, just in case." "In case what?" "In case she discovers you discovered her. In case she tries to destroy the evidence, in case something worse happens." "But what do I do after I cannot keep living like this with fear in my own house, watching every step, checking every surface before touching it?" "You have to talk to Jason. He is not going to believe me." "You have proof, Margaret, photos, documents, the wax can, the rags, everything. How is he not going to believe you? Because he is in love, and love blinds, especially when the other person is as good at manipulating as Natalie." Rose sighed. "Then you have two options. Either you stay silent and wait for something worse to happen, or you talk and risk the relationship with your son. But at least you will be alive and with your dignity intact." Alive and with my dignity intact. That sounded like a luxury at that moment. That night, I did not sleep. I stayed looking at my room ceiling, thinking, calculating, planning. I had lived 58 years. I had raised a son alone. I had built a house with my own hands. I had survived my husband's abandonment. I had worked until bleeding to give Jason a better life. I was not going to let a manipulative woman take everything from me, not without a fight, But I needed a plan, a smart plan, because Natalie was cunning and Jason was under her spell. I needed her to give herself away. I needed Jason to see her with his own eyes. I needed the mask to fall in front of him, and I knew exactly how to do it. But I needed time and courage. And above all, I needed to survive long enough to execute my plan. Because one thing was clear. Natalie was not going to stop. She had tried once. She had failed. She would try again. The question was, when, and more importantly, would I be ready? Sunday morning, I went down to breakfast with a decision made. I was not going to run. I was not going to hide. I was not going to give Natalie the pleasure of seeing me scared. I was going to keep living in my house, with my head high. But I was also going to be alert, more alert than ever. And when the right moment arrived, when I had everything I needed, I was going to act. Natalie was in the kitchen preparing her usual green shake. "Good morning, Margaret." "Good morning, Natalie." We looked at each other. Two women in a silent war. Two women who knew what the other had done, what the other knew. But neither said anything. Not yet. The game was just beginning, and I was determined to win it. The following days were the strangest of my life. I lived in my own house like a stranger, like an infiltrator in enemy territory. Every move was calculated, every word measured, every gesture observed. Natalie and I were two actresses in a macabre play. Before Jason, everything was normal. "Good morning." "Good night." "Want more coffee?" "How was your day?" But when we were left alone, the air became dense, toxic. Each knew what the other knew. Each waited for the other's next move. It was like living on a time bomb, and I knew the clock was ticking. Tuesday afternoon, 2 weeks after the accident, I found something that finished confirming my worst suspicions. I was cleaning my room when I heard the mailman arrive. I went down to pick up the mail. There was an envelope for Jason, a certified letter. The kind that requires a signature. It was not my custom to open my son's mail, but something about that envelope unsettled me. The sender was a law firm, Lozano and Associates, lawyers. What did Jason need lawyers for? I went up to my room, I closed the door, and I did something I never thought I would do. I opened the envelope. Inside were legal documents, complicated words I barely understood, but some phrases jumped off the page like stabs. Interdiction procedure for alleged mental and physical incapacity. Margaret Brooks, age 58. Applicant Jason Brooks. Son and legal heir. Reason progressive cognitive deterioration. Episodes of disorientation. Frequent falls. Inability for self-care. The letters became blurry. Tears arrived without permission. My son, my own son, was initiating a legal process to declare me incompetent, to take away my freedom, my autonomy, my right to decide about my own life. I kept reading with trembling hands. If the interdiction proceeds, the applicant will be named legal guardian, having full powers over the person and assets of the interdicted, including decision on place of residence, medical care, and asset administration. Legal guardian. Jason would be my guardian as if I were a child, as if I had no capacity to make my own decisions. And the worst, what broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. Sworn statement of the applicant. My mother has shown worrying signs of deterioration in recent months. She forgets important things. She falls frequently. She does not recognize dangerous situations. As a responsible son, I consider that she can no longer live independently and requires specialized care in an institution suitable for her condition. Condition. As if I were sick. As if I were crazy. But what hurt most was the signature at the end. Jason's signature. My son had signed this. He had declared under oath that I was deteriorated, incapable, dangerous to myself. All lies. All invented, all orchestrated by Natalie, but Jason had signed it. I sat on my bed for hours with those papers in my hands, trying to understand, trying to process. How had it come to this? How the boy I had raised with so much love, the boy who had promised me he would never leave me alone, the man who still kissed my forehead every night, how could that man be doing this? The answer was obvious. Natalie. She had planted every doubt, every comment about my age, every suggestion that I was deteriorating, every, "Did you see how your mom forgot this?" Every, "Your mom is very tired lately, do you not think?" Drop by drop, word by word. She'd poisoned my son's perception of me, and he had drunk that poison to the last drop. That night, when Jason arrived from work, I waited for him in the living room. I had the documents on my lap. My heart beat so hard I thought it was going to burst out of my chest. "Hi, Mom," he said with that tired smile that was now his permanent expression. "Jason, we need to talk." Something in my tone stopped him. He stood in front of me. "What is it?" I lifted the documents. "This is it." His face turned pale. He looked at the papers. Then he looked at me. "Mom, Are you going to declare me incompetent? Is that what you are going to do?" "It is not what you think." "No." "Then explain to me what it is. Because here, it says very clearly that you consider I have progressive cognitive deterioration, that I fall frequently, that I cannot take care of myself." "Mom, please." "Since when, Jason? Since when did you start seeing me as a burden, as a useless old woman who has to be locked up?" "It is not like that." His scream surprised me. Jason never shouted. Never. He ran his hands through his hair, that gesture of frustration I knew since he was a child. "It is not that I see you as a burden, Mom. It is that I am worried. Really worried." "Well, worried about what?" "Because I work in my garden. Because I cook. Because I live my life as I have lived for 30 years. Because of the falls, Mom. Because of the memory lapses." "What falls? What memory lapses?" "You fell in the bathroom 2 weeks ago, Natalie told me." There it was. Natalie. I did not fall. "Mom, please do not lie. Natalie said she saw your bruises when you were changing." Of course. Natalie had seen my bruises, the bruises she herself had caused with her wax trap. "Jason, listen to me well. I did not fall. Someone put wax on the bathroom floor, wax that made the floor so slippery it was impossible not to fall." "Wax? What are you talking about?" "I am talking about your wife trying to hurt me so she can declare me incompetent and keep this house." The silence that followed was deafening. Jason looked at me as if he had never seen me before, as if I were a stranger, a crazy woman. "Mom, are you listening to yourself?" "Yes, I am listening to myself." And I know it sounds incredible, but it is the truth. Natalie would never hurt you. She loves you. We love you. She loves me, Jason. Your wife has been planning to commit me since before you got married. She has nursing home brochures hidden in her room. She has documents where she calculates how much this house is worth. She has a written plan on how to declare me incompetent. That is ridiculous. It is not ridiculous. It is the truth, and I have proof. I got up. I went to my room. I took out my phone. I showed him the photos, the brochures of the nursing homes, the documents with the calculations of the house value, the plan written by hand by Natalie. Jason watched them in silence. His face revealed nothing. "And," I asked when he finished seeing everything, "do you still think I am crazy?" "Mom?" His voice sounded tired. So tired. "There is an explanation for all this." "Which one?" Natalie was researching options for the future, for when you really need it. It is planning, responsibility. It is not a plot. I could not believe it. I had shown him the proof and he was still defending her. And the wax in the bathroom, is that also responsible planning? There is no wax in any bathroom, Mom. Yes, there is. I found it. I kept it. I have the can, the rags, everything. Show them to me. I went to my closet. I looked where I had hidden the wax can. I put them between boxes of old photos behind clothes I no longer used. It was not there. I searched with more desperation. I took out all the boxes, all the clothes, everything at the bottom of the closet. The can was not there, the rags neither. No, it cannot be. What is wrong, Mom? They were here. The rags, everything was here. Mom, sit down, please. But I could not sit down. I kept searching frantically like a crazy woman, like the crazy woman Jason already believed I was. Someone took them. Someone entered my room and took them. Mom, no one entered your room. You are confused. I am not confused. They were here, I swear to you. My voice broke. Tears began to run down my cheeks. Jason approached, tried to hug me. I pulled away. Do not touch me. Mom, please calm down. Calm down? How do you want me to calm down when you are trying to lock me up? When your wife is trying to take everything I have? No one is trying to take anything from you. We just want the best for you. Lie. You want this house, and I am the obstacle you have to remove. Mom, enough. You are saying crazy things. Crazy things. There was that word, the word I had been waiting to hear. See, you are already starting to doubt my sanity. That is exactly what she wants. No one is doubting anything, but you have to admit that your behavior lately has been strange. Strange how paranoid, accusing Natalie of horrible things, inventing conspiracies, hiding things that later you say were stolen from you. Every word was a stab. I am not inventing anything. Mom, he sighed deeply, maybe you need help, professional help. Professional help. You mean a psychiatrist so he can declare me crazy and you can commit me more easily, so you feel better, so you stop living with this constant fear, with these ideas that torment you. They are not ideas, Jason, it is reality. Your reality, Mom, not the real reality. And there it was. The truth finally said out loud. My son believed I was crazy, that everything was in my head, that Natalie was the victim of my old age paranoia. At that moment, Natalie entered the living room. What is going on here? I heard you shouting from outside. Perfect timing, as always. Nothing, said Jason. Just a difficult conversation. Natalie looked at me. Her eyes were full of a concern so convincing that even I almost believed her. Margaret, are you okay? You look very upset. My voice trembled with rage. You did this. I did what Margaret. You took the wax can. You entered my room and took the evidence. What wax can I do not know what you are talking about? Yes, you know. The can you used to put wax on the bathroom floor, to make me fall. Natalie looked at Jason with genuine confusion. My love, what is she talking about? My mom thinks that you... He did not finish the sentence, as if it were too painful to say it out loud. That I what? That you put wax in the bathroom so she would fall. Natalie brought her hand to her mouth, her eyes filled with tears, tears perfectly acted. Why would I do something like that, Margaret? I love you. You are my husband's mom, the grandmother of the children we will have someday. Liar, I whispered. Margaret, I know things have been tense between us. I know maybe I am not the daughter-in-law you expected, but I would never hurt you. The mere idea breaks my heart. A tear rolled down her cheek, a single perfect tear. Jason approached her. He hugged her. There, my love. It is not your fault. My mom is going through something difficult. Maybe we should take her to a doctor, said Natalie between sobs. Someone who can help her. Because this is not normal, Jason. These accusations, this behavior, it scares me. It scares you. My voice sounded shrill, even to me. It scares you. I am the one who should be afraid. You are the ones planning to lock me up. Mom, please. No, I am not going to shut up. This is my house. My house. I built it. I paid for it. And I am not going to let you take it from me. "No one is taking anything from you," said Jason with a calm that terrified me more than any scream. "But if you keep like this, we are going to have to make difficult decisions. For your own good. For my own good. The most dangerous words in the world. If you try to commit me, I am going to fight. I am going to hire a lawyer. I am going to—" "With what money, Mom? Your pension barely covers your personal expenses." He was right. I lived on a modest pension. All my savings had gone into Jason's education, into the construction of this house, into maintaining it for 30 years. I had no money for lawyers. I had no money to fight, and they knew it. "So what?" I asked with a broken voice. "Are you going to lock me up against my will?" "If necessary, yes," said Jason. Those 3 words destroyed me more than everything else. My son, my own son, was willing to lock me up against my will. For a woman. For a house. For money. "I understand," I said finally. "I understand perfectly." I turned around. I went up the stairs. I entered my room. I closed the door. And I cried like I had not cried in years. Like I did not cry when Robert left me. Like I did not cry when I had to work 3 jobs to feed Jason. I cried because I had just lost my son, not to death, not to distance, to something worse, to manipulation, to greed, to betrayal. The following days were a silent hell. Jason barely spoke to me. Natalie treated me with a cloying condescension, as if I were a senile old woman who needed to be handled with care. "Good morning, Margaret. Did you sleep well? Did you take your vitamins?" I did not take vitamins. I had never taken them, but she kept asking, creating that narrative of the sick old woman who needs pills to function. One morning, I found my room rummaged. Not much. Just enough for me to notice. As if someone had been looking for something. The photos I had taken with my phone had also disappeared. Someone had entered my phone. I did not have a password. I never thought I would need it in my own house. And they had deleted everything. The brochures, the documents, the photos of the waxed floor, the photos of my bruises, everything deleted. I had no evidence of anything. It was my word against theirs, and no one was going to believe the paranoid old woman. A week after the confrontation, an official letter arrived. A summons from the Department of Health for a mandatory geriatric evaluation requested by my son within the framework of the guardianship procedure. I had to present myself in 3 days. If I did not, they could declare me in contempt and proceed with the guardianship anyway. I was trapped. If I went to the evaluation, surely they would find something, anything, a little normal forgetfulness due to age, a tremor in the hands due to nerves, anything they could use to declare me incompetent. If I did not go, they would declare me in contempt, and that would be even worse. There was no way out. That night, I went out to the patio. I needed air. I needed to think. The hydrangeas Natalie had pruned were starting to grow again, wild, rebellious, refusing to die. I sat on the stone bench I had put there when Jason was a child. I closed my eyes. I breathed deeply, and then I knew what I had to do. I could not fight this battle, not in the traditional way. I had no money for lawyers. I had no evidence to present. I had no powerful allies, but I had something Natalie would never expect. I had my freedom, still, and I had this house that was my only card. If they wanted it so much, if they were willing to destroy me to get it, then I was going to make sure they never had it. The next morning, very early before Jason and Natalie woke up, I left the house. I went to the bank. I asked to speak to the manager. It was Mr. Henderson, the same man who had given me the loan to build this house 30 years ago. "Mrs. Brooks, what a pleasure to see you. How can I help you?" "Mr. Henderson, I need advice. I want to sell my house." His surprise was evident. "Sell your house, but Mrs. Brooks, that house is your life." "I know, that's exactly why I have to sell it, before they take it from me." I told him everything, not the gruesome details, only the essential. My daughter-in-law wanted the house. My son was initiating a guardianship process. I needed to sell it fast before I lost the legal capacity to do so. Mr. Henderson listened in silence. When I finished, he nodded gravely. I understand. Let me make some calls. I know someone who might be interested. But Mrs. Brooks, are you sure? Once you sell it, there is no turning back. I am sure. I prefer to sell it myself. Decide who I sell it to and start over somewhere else than allow them to snatch it from me while I am locked in a nursing home watching soap operas. And where would you go? To Chicago. I have a cousin there. She has offered to let me stay with her until I find a small apartment. With the money from the sale, I can live peacefully the rest of my life. My son made his decision. Now I make mine. Mr. Henderson made the necessary calls. By Friday of that week, he had an interested buyer, a young couple, teachers with 2 small children, the type of family I always imagined living in that house after me. The price was not the best in the market, but it was sufficient, and above all, it was fast. We signed the contract Saturday morning. In 5 days, the deed would be ready. I returned home that afternoon with a mix of relief and sadness. Relief because finally I had taken control of my situation. Sadness because this meant the end of an era. When I entered, Jason and Natalie were in the living room. "Where were you, Mom?" Jason asked with that tone of suspicion he now always used with me. "Running errands." "What kind of errands?" "Mine." Natalie and Jason exchanged looks. "Mom, we have to talk," said Jason. "We have nothing to talk about." "Yes, we do. Your evaluation is on Wednesday. We need you to go. It is important." "I will go. Do not worry." My tone was calm, too calm. That confused them. "You will go?" asked Natalie, unable to hide her surprise. "Yes, I will go to your evaluation. I will answer their questions. I will do whatever is necessary." Because by Wednesday, the house would already be sold. The money would already be in my account, and I would already have my bus ticket to Chicago. They could do all the evaluations they wanted on me. It no longer mattered, because the only thing they wanted, the only thing for which they were willing to betray me, was no longer going to be theirs. The following 5 days were the strangest of my life. I lived in my house, knowing it was no longer mine. I walked through its hallways, saying goodbye in silence to every corner, every tile, every crack in the wall that told a story. But I did not cry. I did not allow myself the luxury of tears because tears were weakness and I needed to be strong, stronger than I had ever been. Sunday morning, while Jason and Natalie slept, I started packing slowly, silently. I did not want them to realize what I was doing. I took out my old suitcase, the same suitcase with which I had arrived at this house 32 years ago. It was dusty but sturdy like me. What do you take when you leave your whole life behind? Clothes, the essential 3 blouses, 2 pants, a dress, underwear, comfortable shoes, documents, my birth certificate, my ID, my vaccination card, social security papers, the will that now no longer mattered because there would be nothing to inherit photographs, not all just the most important ones. Jason as a baby, Jason at his graduation, Jason and I in front of this house the day we finished building it, my mother, my grandmother, the people who had formed me. I left the photos of Jason with Natalie, those no longer belonged to me, and my rosary, my grandmother's rosary, the one I had prayed 1,000 times in moments of anguish, the one I now needed more than ever. The suitcase was not even half full. 68 years of life fit in half a suitcase. How sad and how liberating at the same time. On Monday, Mr. Henderson called. "Mrs. Brooks, everything is ready. The couple is very excited. They have seen the house from the outside and they love it. The money is deposited in a special bank account until they sign the deeds on Friday. Are you sure about this?" "More sure than ever, Mr. Henderson." "Does your son know?" "No, and he is not going to know until it is too late to stop it." "Mrs. Brooks, I understand your situation, but Jason is your son. Should you not talk?" "I already tried to talk. He chose not to listen to me now. I choose to protect the little I have left my dignity, my freedom, my right to decide about my own life." Mr. Henderson sighed. "You are a very brave woman, Mrs. Brooks." "I am not brave, Mr. Henderson. I am a woman who has nothing left to lose, and that makes me dangerous." That afternoon, while Natalie was at the gym and Jason at work, I walked through the house. I touched the walls I had painted. I remembered the day I chose that shade of pale yellow. Jason was 10 years old. He told me, "Mom, it looks like the sun lives in our house." I ran my fingers over the dining table, the table where we had eaten thousands of times, where Jason had done his homework, while I sewed, where we had celebrated every birthday, every Christmas, every small triumph. I went out to the patio. My hydrangeas greeted me with their fuchsia flowers, the ones Natalie had pruned, but that had refused to die, the ones that now grew stronger, wilder, more beautiful than before. "Forgive me," I whispered to them. "I know I am leaving you, but you are strong. You will survive without me, just as I will survive without you." The rose bush I had planted when Jason was born was in a corner, tall, proud, full of thick branches. "Take care of this house," I told it. "The new family is going to love you. They have children. They are going to play in this patio. Like Jason played, they are going to laugh. They are going to grow. Give them what you gave me for 30 years. Give them your shade, your presence, your testimony that it is worth putting down roots." I sat on the stone bench, the same one where I had sat 1,000 times sometimes, with coffee, sometimes with tears, sometimes only with silence. "Thank you," I said to the house in a low voice. "Thank you for being my refuge, my fortress, my home. I am sorry this has to end like this, but I prefer to leave you with dignity than let them turn you into a battlefield." A soft breeze moved the hydrangeas, as if the house were answering me, as if it were giving me its blessing. On Tuesday, Rose came to visit me. I had told her everything over the phone. "Margaret, this is crazy," she said, sitting in my living room. "Are you really going to leave everything?" "I am not leaving everything, Rose. I am taking the most important thing, my freedom. And Jason and your grandchild that you will have someday, are you not going to know him?" That question hurt me more than I expected. If Jason wants me to know my grandchildren, he will know where to find me. I'm going to leave him a letter with my new address with my cousin's phone number. If he really wants me in his life, he will look for me. And if he does not, then I will have confirmed what I already suspect, that I lost my son a long time ago, and that what remains of him is no longer the boy I raised. Rose had tears in her eyes. "I am going to miss you, friend. And I you. But this is not a goodbye forever. Chicago is not that far. You will come visit me." "I will come visit you, only you will no longer live in this house. You will no longer be the neighbor next door. You will be the friend who had to leave to save herself." We hugged long, tight, as if we were clinging to something we knew was changing forever. "Promise me something," said Rose when we separated. "Anything. Promise me you are going to be happy, that you are going to find peace in the city, that you are not going to spend the rest of your life bitter about this. I promise you, I am going to start over, Art. At my 58 years, I am going to start a new life, and I am going to do it right. I am going to be the Margaret I want to be, not the one they need me to be to justify their actions." Wednesday was the day of the geriatric evaluation. I got up early. I dressed carefully, black pants, white blouse, comfortable shoes. I combed my hair and put on a little lipstick. I wanted to look good. I wanted to look sane, competent, capable. Not because I cared about the result of the evaluation. In 2 days, none of that would matter, but because I wanted Jason to see me. I wanted him to remember this image, his mother with her head high facing with dignity, what he and his wife had done to her. Jason drove me to the clinic. The trip was silent, uncomfortable. He looked ahead. I looked out the window. "Mom," he said finally, "I know you think this is a betrayal, but I promise you I only want the best for you. The best for me would be for you to trust me, to listen to me, to believe me. But that is not going to happen anymore, right?" it is complicated. No, Jason, it is not complicated. It is simple. You chose to believe her instead of believing me. End of story. It is not fair for you to put it like that. It is not fair you are taking me to be evaluated as if I were a child, as if I had no right to decide about my own life, and I am the unfair one. Silence. We arrived at the clinic, a modern 3-story building, white, cold, impersonal. Do you want me to go in with you? Asked Jason. No, I can do it alone as I have done all my life. I entered alone. I gave my name at reception. They made me wait 40 minutes. 40 minutes in which I observed the other people in the waiting room, true elderly people with canes, with companions with lost looks. Was this how Jason saw me? Like one of these people? Finally, they called me. Dr. Stevens was a woman of about 40 years. Short hair, glasses, serious expression but not cruel. Mrs. Brooks, sit down, please. I sat down. Your son requested this evaluation because he is worried about your well-being. Do you understand why you are here? I understand perfectly. My daughter-in-law wants my house, and this evaluation is part of the plan to declare me incompetent and take it from me. The doctor raised an eyebrow. That is a serious accusation. It is the truth, but I do not expect you to believe me. No one believes me. So go ahead. Do your evaluation. Ask me what you have to ask. The doctor studied me for a moment. Then she started. What day is today? Wednesday, February 14th. What year are we in Tasan 2024? Who is the president? I said it correctly. Can you subtract by sevens from 100? I did it without errors. Can you remember 3 words I'm going to tell you and repeat them in 5 minutes house tree table? I repeated them 5 minutes later without a problem. The evaluation continued. Memory tests, attention, logical reasoning, spatial orientation. I answered everything correctly. Because I was not crazy, because I did not have cognitive deterioration, because I was a 58-year-old woman in full use of her mental faculties. At the end, the doctor leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Brooks, your results are excellent. I see no sign of cognitive deterioration. Your memory is intact. Your reasoning is clear. Your orientation is perfect. So are you going to declare me capable? I am going to issue a medical report stating that you do not present any condition that justifies an interdiction for mental incapacity. However what? However, your son also mentioned frequent falls balance problems. Is that true? I fell once in the bathroom because someone put wax on the floor deliberately. Do you have proof of that? I had it, but it disappeared. Curiously, the doctor looked at me with a mix of compassion and skepticism. Mrs. Brooks, I am going to be honest with you. Your mental health is excellent, but the accusations you are making against your daughter-in-law are worrying. Worrying because they are false, or worrying because they are true. Worrying because if they are false, they suggest a level of paranoia that should be treated. And if they are true, then you are in a very serious family abuse situation. Option number 2. Do you have evidence? I had it not anymore. Do you have witnesses? A neighbor. But who is going to believe a gossipy neighbor against the word of a concerned daughter-in-law? The doctor sighed. My medical report is going to be favorable for you. There is no basis to declare you incompetent, but I cannot help you with the family situation. That is out of my reach. I know, and I thank you for your honesty. What are you going to do? What I should have done from the beginning. Take control of my life. Get out of that situation. Start over. Do you have somewhere to go? Yes. Do you have resources? I will have them. Soon. The doctor wrote something in her notebook. Then she handed me a paper. These are numbers of organizations that help seniors in situations of family abuse in case you need them. I took the paper, folded it, and put it in my purse. Thank you, doctor. Take care, Mrs. Brooks, and good luck. You are going to need it. I left the clinic with the medical report in hand. Jason was waiting for me in the car. How did it go? Good. The doctor says I am perfectly healthy, mentally and cognitively. I saw something cross his face. Relief, disappointment, I was not sure. I am glad, Mom. Really, of course. I never wanted you to be bad. You just wanted my house. Mom, please do not start again. The trip back was even more silent than the way there. Thursday, I woke up knowing it was my last full day in this house. Tomorrow, Mr. Henderson would come with the notary. We would sign the deeds. The money would be transferred to my account. And Saturday early, I would take a bus to Chicago. I spent the day doing the things I had always done. I watered the plants, brewed coffee, swept the patio. Every action was a silent farewell. In the afternoon, when Jason and Natalie were not there, I called my cousin Eleanor in Chicago. Ellie, it is me, Margaret. Cousin, what a pleasure to hear you. How are you? I am in a complicated situation. Do you still have room in your apartment? Room, Margaret. I have 2 spare rooms since my kids left. Why are you thinking of visiting me? Not exactly. I am thinking of moving. With you, if you accept me. Just until I find my own place. Silence on the other end of the line. Margaret, what happened? I told her, not everything, just the essential. My daughter-in-law, the plans, the guardianship process, my decision to sell the house. Oh, cousin, I'm so sorry. Of course you can come, whenever you want. My house is your house. I arrive Saturday, if it is not too much trouble. Saturday. But that is in 2 days. I know, it is just that I need to get out of here fast, before they realize and try to stop me. I understand, it is okay. I will wait for you Saturday. Send me your arrival time and I will pick you up at the station. Thanks, Ellie. You do not know how much this means to me. We are family, Margaret, real family, the one that supports, not the one that betrays. That night, we had dinner together for the last time. Although they did not know it, Natalie had prepared pasta, something simple. I ate in silence watching them. Jason seemed tired. He had dark circles under his eyes. Was it the weight of guilt or simply work stress? Natalie was radiant. She talked about her plans, about the remodeling she wanted to do in the kitchen, about the color she wanted to paint the living room, about the new furniture she had seen in a store. She talked about my house as if it were already hers. Right, that it would be beautiful, Margaret, a modern kitchen, with an island, with stainless steel appliances. Yes, I said, very beautiful. And do not worry, in the residence where you are going to be, the food is excellent. You are never going to have to cook again. Residence. She did not even bother to disguise her intentions anymore. Did you already choose a residence? I asked with a calm that surprised myself. Natalie and Jason exchanged looks. Well, we have been looking at options, said Jason, just as a precaution. Of course, as a precaution. Mom, it does not have to be like this. If you accepted help, if you were more cooperative. Cooperative with what, Jason? With my own imprisonment. It is not imprisonment. It is care. It is making sure you are okay. I am okay here in my house. Your house that you can no longer maintain, said Natalie. Your house that is too big for you. Your house where you fall and get hurt. My house that you want to sell to keep the money. The silence that followed was tense. Natalie left her fork on the plate. Jason turned pale. Mom, that is not... It does not matter, I said, getting up. Nothing matters anymore. Excuse me, I am tired. I am going to sleep. I went up to my room, closed the door, and smiled, because they knew that I knew, and that terrified them. But it was already too late. Friday dawned clear, a bright blue sky as if the universe were celebrating my liberation. At 10 in the morning, Mr. Henderson arrived with the notary and the buyer couple. Jason and Natalie had left early, he to work, she to the gym. As every Friday I opened the door for them, I offered them coffee. We sat at the dining table. The couple was young, 30-something. He was an elementary school teacher, she a nurse. They had 2 children, a boy of 6 and a girl of 4. "Mrs. Brooks," said the wife with shining eyes, "your house is beautiful. Our children are going to grow up so happy here." "I know," I said, "because I raised my son here, and he was the happiest boy in the world until he stopped being so." The notary took out the documents. He started reading legal terms, clauses, conditions. I barely listened. I just waited for the moment they put the pen in my hand. "Mrs. Brooks, do you understand that by signing these documents you are ceding all rights over this property?" "I understand perfectly. And do you proceed of your own free will without coercion of any kind?" "I proceed of my own free will. No one forces me. This is my decision, my choice." "Then please sign here." I took the pen. The same pen with which I had signed so many important documents in my life. Jason's birth certificate, his college enrollment, my will, and now the sale of my house. I signed. Once, twice, 3 times on every marked page. "Done," said the notary. "The property has been transferred. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, this house is now yours. Mrs. Brooks, the money has been deposited in your account. You can verify it with Mr. Henderson." Mr. Henderson showed me his tablet. There it was. An amount that represented 32 years of my life, of my work, of my sacrifice. It was not as much as it could have been, but it was enough. It was my freedom in numbers. "Mrs. Brooks," said Mrs. Miller, "when do you need to vacate?" "I already vacated. I only have 1 suitcase. I leave tomorrow early." "Tomorrow, but you can stay longer if you need. A week. 2, whatever you need." "No, thanks. But no, it is better this way, a clean break, like ripping off a Band-Aid. Fast. So it hurts less." I handed them the keys to the house I had built, the keys to my past life. "Take care of this house," I told them. "It has a good heart. Sometimes it creaks at night. Do not be scared. It is just her settling, talking to herself. And the hydrangeas in the patio, let them grow free. Do not prune them too much. They are more beautiful when they are wild." Mrs. Miller had tears in her eyes. "We promise you we are going to take care of it, and we are going to be happy here, as you were." "As I was," I repeated, "a long time ago." They left. Mr. Henderson stayed a moment longer. "Mrs. Brooks, are you sure you are okay? Do you need anything?" "I am fine, Mr. Henderson. Better than fine, I am free." He hugged me. A fatherly hug, of those that make you feel someone does see you, someone does understand. "God bless you, Mrs. Brooks, and may you do well in your new life." "Thanks, Mr. Henderson, for everything, for believing me, for helping me, for not treating me like a crazy old lady." "You are not crazy at all. You are the sanest woman I know." He left. I was left alone in my house that was no longer my house. I had 4 hours before Jason and Natalie returned, 4 hours to say goodbye. I toured every room, slowly touching the walls, remembering Jason's room where I had rocked him as a baby, where I had cared for him when he was sick, where I had read with him before sleeping, my room where I had cried when Robert left me, where I had prayed for strength every night, where I had dreamed of the future that never came, the bathroom where I had almost killed myself, or where they had almost killed me, the kitchen where I had cooked 1,000 meals, where I had baked birthday cakes, where I had brewed coffee every morning for 3 decades, the living room where Jason and I had watched movies, where we had laughed, where we had been a family, and finally the patio. I sat on the stone bench for the last time. The hydrangeas surrounded me. The rose bush watched me from its corner. "Goodbye," I whispered. "Thanks for everything. Forgive me for leaving you, but you are going to be okay. The new owners are going to love you. They are going to take care of you. They are going to understand that you are more than plants. You are witnesses. You are memory. You are life." The wind blew softly. The hydrangeas moved as if saying goodbye. At 3 in the afternoon, I wrote 2 letters. The first was for Jason. Son, when you read this, I will no longer be here. Not in this house. Maybe not in your life either. That will depend on you. I sold the house. Yes, the house you wanted so much. The house for which you were willing to declare me incompetent. The house for which you betrayed your mother. I sold it because I prefer to let it go with dignity than let them snatch it from me. Because that house was my life, my work, my sweat, my sacrifice. And I was not going to allow it to become your wife's prize for destroying me. The money is safe in an account in my name. I will use it to start over. Far from here, far from you. Do not look for me. Unless you really want to find me. Unless you are willing to admit what your wife did, what you allowed her to do. I love you, Jason. I have always loved you. I will always love you. But that love is no longer enough to allow you to destroy me. I was your mother. I was a good one. For 35 years, I gave you everything I had, my time, my energy, my whole life. Now I need to give myself something. I need to recover what I lost trying to please you. If someday you wake up, if someday you see Natalie clearly, if someday you realize what you lost, here is my cousin's address in Chicago. There I will be, waiting. Not forever, but for a while. Until then, take care, and may God forgive you, because I still cannot. Your mother, Margaret. The second letter was shorter. It was for Natalie. Natalie, you won, but not the way you expected. You wanted the house. The house no longer exists. For you. You wanted to lock me up. I locked myself up. But on my own terms. You wanted to erase me, and you succeeded. From your life. From Jason's life. From this house. But you could not erase one thing. The truth. I know what you did. And although no one else believes me, although I have no proof, although they call me crazy, I know the truth. And you, too. And that truth is going to live between you and your husband, like a ghost. Every time you walk through the patio where my plants were, every time you see the space where my sofa was, every time you cook in the kitchen that was mine, you are going to remember. You are going to remember what you had to do to get this. And that memory is going to be my revenge. I do not need more. Margaret. I left both letters on the dining table where they could not miss them. At 5 p.m, I took my suitcase. I gave one last look at the house. Goodbye, my love, I told it. You were a good home. You were my refuge. You were my life. And although I leave a part of me, will always live in these walls, in these floors, in this patio. Because that is what happens when you truly love a place. You fill it with your spirit. And that spirit never leaves, never dies, never disappears. So even if Natalie thinks she won, even if she stays here, even if she changes every corner, I am going to still be here in the echo, in the memories, in the shadows. And that they will never be able to take from me. I went out the back door, closed it without looking back because looking back was becoming a pillar of salt, and I needed to keep moving forward. I walked 3 blocks to Rose's house. She had offered to let me stay that night so I would not have to face Jason and Natalie. "Ready?" she asked when she opened the door. "Ready." That night, I slept in Rose's guest room. I did not sleep much, but when I finally closed my eyes, I did not have nightmares. For the first time in months, I slept in peace. Saturday at 6 a.m, Rose took me to the bus station. The sun was just rising. The suburbs were waking up slowly. The streets were almost empty. The fresh February air filled my lungs with a clarity I had not felt in months. "Sure you do not want me to accompany you?" asked Rose for the 3rd time. "Sure. I need to make this trip alone. I need to feel that it is me who decides me, who leaves me, who takes the reins of my life." Rose hugged me tight, so tight she almost cut off my breath. "Call me as soon as you arrive and every week. And if you need anything, whatever it is, I take a bus and go there. Do you hear me?" "I hear you, friend, and thank you for believing me when no one else did." I always believed you, Margaret, because I know you, and the Margaret I know does not invent things, does not lie, does not exaggerate. If you told me Natalie was hurting you, it was because it was true. I got on the bus with my half-full suitcase. I found my seat by the window. I put the suitcase in the overhead compartment. I sat down. The bus started. The town began to move away. Every mile we advanced was a mile between my past and my future. I took out my phone. I had kept it off since yesterday. I did not want calls. I did not want messages. I did not want anything to interrupt my escape. But now, sitting on that bus, taking me to a new life, I felt curious. I turned it on. 37 missed calls from Jason, 24 text messages, 10 voicemails. I did not open them all, just the first ones, to understand how it had been. Message 1, Friday, 6th, 47 p.m. Mom, where are you? We got home and you are not here. Did you go out? Message 2, Friday, 7th, 15 p.m. Mom, I am worried. Can you answer? I already called Rose and she says she does not know where you are. Liar beautiful, my Rose, protecting me until the end. Message 3, Friday, 7:52 p.m. Mom, please, we found your letter. What did you do? You sold the house. That cannot be true. Call me. Urgent. Message 4, Friday, 8th, 34 p.m. Mom, you cannot do this. That house is my inheritance. It is my future. How could you sell it without consulting me? There it was, his true pain. Not that I had gone, but that the house was no longer his. Message 5, Friday, 9th, 18 p.m. I went to Mr. Henderson. He confirmed you sold the house. Mom, this is illegal. I am going to sue. I am going to annul the sale. You cannot do this to me. Message 6, Friday, 10:03 p.m. The lawyer says the sale is legal, that you signed of your own free will, that no one forced you. Is it true? Did you really do this? Message 7, Friday, 11:47 p.m. Mom, please, let's talk. It does not have to be like this. We can fix it. We can... There were no more messages after that, as if he had run out of words, out of arguments, out of anything to say. I listened to one of the voicemails, only one. Jason's voice sounded broken, tearful. Mom, I do not understand. Why did you do this? That house was everything to me. It was my childhood, my memories, my future. And you simply sold it as if it meant nothing, as if I meant nothing. Natalie is devastated. She is crying. She says you accused her of horrible things. She says you left her a very cruel letter. How could you? She just wanted to help you. She just wanted you to be okay. And you abandoned us. Like Dad abandoned me. You are just like him, Mom. Just like him. The message ended. You are just like him. Those words hurt me more than everything else. More than the guardianship process, more than the wax in the bathroom, more than the betrayal, because Robert had abandoned us without reason, without cause, simply because he was a coward who could not handle the responsibility. I was not abandoning. I was saving myself. But for Jason, it was the same. I turned off the phone. I was not going to answer. Not now, maybe never, because what could I tell him? What words could make him understand what his wife had done, what he had allowed? None. The words had run out a long time ago. Now only silence remained, and distance, and time. Time that heals, or time that confirms some breaks are permanent. I arrived in Chicago 7 hours later. My cousin Eleanor was waiting for me at the terminal with a huge smile and open arms. Margaret, dear cousin. We hugged. She smelled of lavender and coffee, smells of home, of safety. Thanks for receiving me, Ellie. You have nothing to thank. Come, my car is nearby. Let's go home. You must be exhausted. Eleanor's apartment was in the city, an old building but well kept. 3rd floor, no elevator. But I did not care. I climbed the stairs with my suitcase, feeling that every step moved me further away from what I had left behind. The apartment was cozy, small but bright, full of plants, full of life. "This is your room," said Eleanor, opening a door. "It was my youngest son's, but he went to college 2 years ago. Now it is yours, for as long as you need it." The room had a twin bed, a wooden closet, a window facing the street. It was not big, it was not luxurious, but it was mine, my space, my refuge. "It is perfect, Ellie, thanks. Rest, sleep, eat. And when you are ready, we talk." The first days in the city were strange, like being suspended in time, as if my previous life had been a dream or a nightmare. I woke up early, out of habit, but I no longer had plants to water. I no longer had a patio to take care of. I no longer had a house to maintain. Eleanor worked part-time in a bookstore. She left at 9 in the morning and returned at 3 in the afternoon. During those hours, I was alone in the apartment. At first, I did not know what to do with myself. I walked from room to room. I looked out the window. I thought too much. But little by little, I started finding my rhythm. I cooked. Not out of obligation, but for pleasure. Stews that I liked, without having to consider if Natalie would approve or if Jason would eat them. I read books from Eleanor's library, novels I had wanted to read for years but never had time. I walked. The city was huge, intimidating, but also fascinating. I walked through the neighborhoods, through the parks, observing, learning, discovering, and slowly, very slowly, I started to feel something I had not felt in years. Peace. 2 weeks after my arrival, Eleanor proposed something to me. "Margaret, my friend Martha, has a coffee shop near here. She needs help 3 days a week, part-time, nothing heavy. Would you be interested in working in a coffee shop? Ellie, I am 58 years old." "Exactly. You are 58 years old, not 88. You still have a lot of life ahead. Or do you plan to stay locked in this apartment forever?" She was right. The next day I went to meet Martha. She was a woman of about 50 years, cheerful, loud, with a marked accent and a contagious laugh. "Do you know how to make coffee?" "I know how to brew pot coffee, but coffee shop coffee I am not sure." "I teach you. If you know how to brew pot coffee, you have a good palate. The rest is technique, and technique is learned." I started working the following Monday, 3 days a week, from 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, learning to use the espresso machine, to make cappuccinos, to draw hearts in the milk foam. It was exhausting. My feet hurt at the end of the day. My hands smelled of coffee all the time. But it was wonderful, because it was my decision, my work, my life. Not the life Jason wanted for me, not the life Natalie had planned, my life. A month after arriving in the city, I turned on my phone for the first time since the bus trip. There were more messages, many more. Most were from Jason, but the tone had changed. They were no longer desperate messages. They were no longer pleas. They were cold messages, almost legal. Message 3 weeks ago. "Mom, my lawyer informed me that the sale of the house is irreversible, that the money is legally yours, that I cannot do anything about it. I hope you are happy. You got what you wanted, destroying my future." Message 2 weeks ago. "The new owners moved in today. Seeing that family entering my house, the house where I grew up, was the most painful thing of my life, and all because of your selfishness, because of your inability to think of anyone other than yourself." Selfishness. He accused me of selfishness, the son for whom I had sacrificed my youth, my energy, my whole life. He accused me of selfishness for saving the little I had left. Message 1 week ago. "Natalie and I found an apartment to rent. It is small, expensive, far from my work, but it is all we can afford, all because you decided to sell our inheritance." Our inheritance. The house I had built was his inheritance. There was not a single message asking how I was, where I was, if I needed anything, if I was okay. Everything was about him, his pain, his loss, his destroyed future. There was a last message from 3 days ago. Message. Mom Natalie is pregnant. You are going to be a grandmother. I thought you would want to know, although probably you do not care. You will never know your grandchild. That is your choice. I hope you can live with that. I read that message 3 times. I was going to be a grandmother. I should feel joy, excitement, that tickle in the stomach that comes with good news. But I only felt empty because that baby was going to grow up with Natalie as a mother, with Natalie's lies as truth, with Natalie's version of who I was. He was going to grow up believing his grandmother was a crazy, selfish, cruel old woman who had abandoned his father without reason, and there was nothing I could do to change it. I turned off the phone, put it in a drawer, and did not turn it on again for weeks. 2 months after my arrival, while I worked in the coffee shop, a woman entered. She would be about 65 years old, elegant, with perfectly cut gray hair. Intelligent eyes behind designer glasses, she asked for an Americano. No sugar, no milk. First time here? I asked while preparing her coffee. Yes, I just moved to the building next door. I am exploring the neighborhood. Welcome then. This coffee is the best in the area, or at least that is what the owner says. She laughed a warm laugh. My name is Patricia. Margaret. Margaret. What a pretty name. Classical. It is a name from another era like me. Do not say that. Classic names are timeless, like the people who carry them. I handed her her coffee. She sat at a table near the window, took out a book, and started reading. She became a regular customer. She came 3 times a week. She always ordered the same thing. Americano, no sugar, no milk. She always sat at the same table. She always read. Little by little, we started talking. Small talk at first. About the weather, about the books she read about life in the city. But over time, conversations became deeper. I discovered Patricia had been a lawyer specialized in family law. Now she was retired, widowed, without children. She lived alone, but was not alone. She had friends' activities, a full life. And you, Margaret. What is your story? One day, after 3 months of knowing her, I told her. Not everything, but the essential. My son, my daughter-in-law, the house, the guardianship process, my escape. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded slowly. You did the right thing. You think, I know what family abuse is. I saw hundreds of cases in my career, and what you describe is a classic case of financial and emotional manipulation. Your daughter-in-law is what we call a family predator, and your son is what we call a secondary victim manipulated by the predator to attack the primary victim. Which was you, so I am not crazy. No, Margaret, you are not crazy, you are traumatized. There is a difference. Those words were like a balm, like absolution. Someone who knew someone with experience was telling me I had not invented anything, that I had not exaggerated, that what I lived was real. And now what do? I asked. Now you keep living, you keep healing. And if your son someday wakes up, if someday he sees the truth, you decide if you want to open that door or not. But that decision is yours, not yours. 6 months after my arrival in the city, Rose called me. Margaret, I need to tell you something. What is wrong? It is about Jason and Natalie. My heart accelerated. What happened? They are moving. They sold everything, the furniture, the car, everything. They are going to the city to live with Natalie's family. Why? Because here in town, everyone knows what happened. Mr. Henderson told the story. I told the story. The neighbors have been talking. Natalie's reputation is, let's say it is not good. And Jason is, I do not know how to describe it. He looks empty, as if he had aged 10 years in 6 months. I saw Natalie the other day at the supermarket. She is pregnant, it shows already, and she was different. Different? How? Cold, bossy. She spoke to Jason as if he were her employee, not her husband, and he just obeyed with his head down without protesting. I felt a pang in my chest, not of satisfaction, of sadness. because this was not what I wanted. I never wanted my son to suffer. I never wanted him to pay a price. I only wanted to save myself. But the consequences of our actions are not always what we plan. Do you think he is realizing? I asked. I do not know, Margaret, but I know he no longer smiles, and that when I mention your name, his eyes fill with tears. A year after my arrival in the city, my life was completely different. I worked full-time at the coffee shop. Martha had made me manager. I lived in my own apartment, small, a studio downtown, but it was mine. I had rented it with my money. I had decorated it to my taste. I had friends, Patricia, Martha, other women from the coffee shop, women who knew me as Margaret, not as Jason's mom, not as Natalie's mother-in-law, just Margaret. I had started taking painting classes at a cultural center near my house. I discovered I liked it, that I had talent for landscapes, for capturing light. I went out to walk every morning through the park, observing people, dogs, families. And although sometimes I felt a pang when I saw a grandmother with her grandchild, it was no longer a constant pain. It was a gentle melancholy, manageable. I had learned something important. You can lose a lot and still find reasons to live, to smile, to start over. One day, 18 months after having left town, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated. Answer, not answer. Finally, I answered. Hello? Silence on the other side, then a trembling breath. Mom. Jason's voice, older, more tired, almost unrecognizable. Jason. Mom, I need to talk to you. I'm listening. Not on the phone, in person. Please, I need us to see each other. Why? Because you were right about everything. And I need to apologize. I need you to know that I finally understood. My heart beat so hard I thought it was going to burst out of my chest. That you understood Jason. That Natalie, His voice broke. Mom, I was wrong. I was so wrong. And now I am trapped, and I do not know what to do. Trapped how? I have a son, Matthew. He is 3 months old, and I love him, Mom. I love him so much. But Natalie, she is not the person I thought she was. And now I see everything she did to you, everything we did to you, and I do not know how to live with that. Tears ran down my cheeks. Jason, please, Mom, please let me go see you. Let me bring you your grandson. Let me try to fix this, if it can be fixed. I closed my eyes. I breathed deeply. Part of me wanted to say yes. Come, I forgive you. Everything will be fine. But another part of me, the part that had learned to protect itself, hesitated. I need to think about it, Jason. This is not easy for me. I know, and I understand. But please think about it. I am going to send you my number. When you are ready, if someday you are ready, call me. He hung up. I sat on my sofa for hours, with the phone in my hand, thinking, feeling, processing. That night I called Patricia. Jason called me, and he says he finally understood that Natalie is not who he thought, that he wants to apologize, that he wants me to know my grandson. What do you feel? I do not know. Fear, hope, rage, sadness, all together. Do you want to see him? I do not know. A part of me, yes, but another part is afraid it is another manipulation, that Natalie is using him to find me, I do not know, to finish what she started. It is possible, but it is also possible that he really has woken up, that he finally sees reality. The question is, are you ready to risk finding out? I do not know. You do not have to know now. Take your time. And remember, whatever you say, whatever you do, your value does not depend on whether you forgive your son or not. Your value is in that you saved yourself, in that you started over, in that you survived. 2 weeks later, I still had not decided. But one morning, while opening the coffee shop, I found something at the door, an envelope with my name handwritten. I opened it. Inside was a photo, a baby, chubby, with big dark eyes, smiling at the camera. And behind the photo, a note written by Jason. "Mom, I present to you Matthew, your grandson. He has your eyes. And when he smiles, he reminds me of you. The you I remember from my childhood. The you that laughed. The you that hugged me. The you that made me feel the world was safe. I am raising him alone. Well, almost alone. Natalie is not well anymore. Not mentally. She became controlling, paranoid, accusing. Exactly what she accused you of being. And now I understand. I understand that she projected on you what she herself was. I understand that I was a fool, a blind and cruel fool. I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I only ask that you meet Matthew, even just once, so he knows he had a grandmother who was strong, brave, worthy. So he knows that in our veins runs the blood of a woman who knew how to save herself when everyone tried to destroy her. I love you, Mom. I have always loved you, even when I did not know how to show it. Jason. I looked at the baby's photo, my grandson, Matthew, and I felt something I had not felt in a long time. I felt that maybe, just maybe, some stories could have second chances, not happy endings, because what happened could not be erased. The pain could not be undone. But second chances, new beginnings, bridges rebuilt over rivers that had tried to drown us. Maybe, just maybe. 3 more months passed before I made a decision. 3 months in which Matthew's photo lived on my nightstand. 3 months in which I woke up every morning looking at those eyes that, according to Jason, were like mine. 3 months talking to Patricia, with Eleanor, with Martha, with myself. "What scares you the most?" Patricia asked one day while we drank coffee in the shop after closing. "That it is a trap, that Natalie is behind this, that she hurts me again. And what do you desire the most?" "To know my grandson, to know there is something good that came out of all this, that despite the pain, despite the betrayal, there is new life. There is hope." "Then you already know your answer, but I am afraid. Fear is natural. Fear protected you when you needed it. But Margaret, sometimes fear also locks us up. It turns us into prisoners of our own past. And if I regret it, and if you do not do it and regret not having tried." She was right, as always. That night, I dialed the number Jason had sent me. He answered on the second ring. "Mom." His voice sounded hopeful, scared, vulnerable. "It is me. Thanks for calling. I was not sure you would." "I was not sure either." Silence. A silence full of everything unsaid, of all the pain, of all the lost time. "Jason, I need you to understand something before continuing. Whatever it is. I cannot simply forget what happened. I cannot pretend everything is fine because it is not. You hurt me a lot, you and Natalie, and that damage does not disappear with an apology. I know, but I also need you to understand that despite everything, despite the pain and betrayal, you are still my son, and that does not change. Even if I wanted it to change, even if it would be easier if I could simply stop loving you, I cannot, because that is not how a mother's love works. It is permanent, even when we do not want it to be." I heard a sob on the other side of the line. "Mom, I am so sorry, so sorry. I know. You have no idea how much I regret it. Every day, every night, I see Matthew and think about everything I took from him, about the grandmother he could have had from the beginning, about the family we could have been. And Natalie." Long silence. She is not well, Mom. After Matthew was born, she changed. Or maybe she was always like that and I did not see it. She became obsessive controlling. She checks my phone. She follows me. She accuses me of things I never did. She screams at me in front of Matthew. And I see in her everything she accused you of being. And I understand. God, Mom, now I understand everything. What do you understand? That everything she said about you was what she herself was. That she projected her own demons on you. And I believed her. I chose to believe her instead of believing you. And that choice destroyed everything. Why are you still with her? For Matthew, because she is his mother. Because I am trying to make things work. But every day is harder. Every day I realize I am in the same trap she tried to put you in. Jason, listen to me well. You cannot save Matthew by sacrificing yourself. Children need happy parents, whole parents, not broken martyrs. Then what do? I do not know, son. That is a decision only you can make. But what I can tell you is this. Whatever decision you make, do not let fear or guilt guide you. Let yourself be guided by what is best for Matthew and for you. Do you forgive me, Mom? That question. The one I had been waiting for and fearing at the same time. Forgiveness is not a switch that turns on and off, Jason. It is a process, and that process takes time. But what I can tell you is this. I am willing to try, to meet Matthew, to see if we can build something new on the ruins of what we destroyed. It is more than I deserve, probably. But I do not do it for you. I do it for me, because I refuse to let what happened steal more time from me. It stole my house. It stole years of peace. But it is not going to steal the opportunity to know my grandson. Not that. 2 weeks later, Jason came to the city, alone, with Matthew, without Natalie. She does not know I am here, he told me when we met in a park near my apartment. She thinks I came for a job interview. If she knew I came to see you, I do not know what she would do. Are you afraid of her? Jason did not answer, but the answer was in his eyes, in the way he looked at his phone every 5 minutes, in the tension of his shoulders. I know, he said finally. I know what you are thinking, that I became what she wanted you to be, a victim, someone who needs to be controlled. I am not thinking that. I am thinking karma is real, and that sometimes the lessons we need to learn are painful. I sat on a bench. Jason sat next to me with Matthew in his arms, and for the first time in 2 years, I saw my grandson. He was 4 months old, chubby, with pink cheeks, dark curly hair, and those eyes, those big dark eyes that really looked like mine. Can I asked, extending my arms. Please. Jason handed me Matthew. The weight of that baby in my arms was like a balm, like a forgiveness I did not know I needed. Matthew looked at me curiously. Then he smiled, a big toothless smile that melted my heart. Hello, my love, I whispered. I am your grandmother. I am very sorry it took so long to meet you. Tears ran down my cheeks, but they were different tears, not of pain, of relief, of gratitude, of that immediate and inexplicable love only grandparents understand. Jason was crying too. Mom, I am so sorry for everything, for the house, for the guardianship process, for not believing you, for choosing wrong, for everything. I know, son, I know. Will you ever be able to forgive me truly? I looked at Matthew, then I looked at Jason, at my son who was no longer the boy I had raised. He was a broken man, repentant, lost, but he was still my son. Complete forgiveness will take time, maybe years, maybe it never reaches 100%. But this right here, I said, pointing to Matthew, this is a start, a bridge, a possibility. Jason nodded. We spent 3 hours in that park talking not about what happened. That would come later. We talked about Matthew, about his quirks, about how he slept, about how he liked soft sounds, about how he hated the cold. We talked like family, like what we once were, like what maybe someday we could be again. After that day, Jason started visiting me once a month, always alone with Matthew, always in secret from Natalie. Are you not afraid she will find out? I asked him one day. Yes, but I am more afraid of losing you again. That Matthew grows up without knowing his grandmother, that scares me more. What are you going to do with your marriage? I do not know. I have thought about divorcing, but I am afraid of losing Matthew. Natalie threatens with taking me to court, with saying I am a bad father, with doing exactly what she tried to do to you. Yes, so you know how it feels being trapped by someone who uses the legal system as a weapon, by someone who manipulates reality to get what they want. How did you bear it, Mom? How did you have the strength to leave? Because I understood something fundamental. No one can save you except yourself. And when you realize staying is going to destroy you, you leave, even if it hurts, even if you lose things, even if people do not understand. You leave because your life is worth more than any house, any relationship, anything. Do you think I should leave? I think you should do what is best for Matthew and for you. And if that means leaving, then yes, leave. Fight for custody if necessary, but do not stay in a place that is killing you inside, because Matthew needs a whole father, not a ghost. 6 months after our first meeting, Jason made a decision. He divorced Natalie. It was ugly. It was painful. She fought custody, accused him of abandonment, of being a bad father, of infidelity that never existed. But Jason had something I never had. Evidence text messages where Natalie threatened him, audio recordings where she insulted him, testimonies from neighbors who had heard the screams. And he had something else, a judge who saw beyond Natalie's perfect tears, who saw the pattern, the manipulation, the abuse. Custody was shared 50-50. It was not what Jason wanted, but it was better than losing his son completely. Now I understand everything, Mom, he told me the day the divorce was signed. I understand why you left, why you sold the house, why you disappeared. It was not cowardice, it was survival. That is right. Do you forgive me now? I am forgiving you every day a little more. But son, there is something you need to understand. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let the past consume me. It means choosing to build something new without pretending the old did not exist. So we are not going to be like before. No, we are never going to be like before, because before included innocence that no longer exists, included trust that was broken. But we can be something new, something different, something stronger, because it was rebuilt with honesty instead of illusions. Today, 3 years after leaving my old life, my life is completely different. I still live in the city in my downtown apartment. I still work at Martha's coffee shop. Now I am a partner. We bought the place and expanded it. My paintings sell in a small gallery nearby. I'm not famous, but people buy my work, and that fills me with a pride I never felt before. I'm 61 years old, and for the first time in my life, I do not feel old. I feel alive, present complete. Jason comes to visit me twice a month with Matthew. My grandson is already 3 years old. He calls me Mama. He still cannot pronounce grandma correctly, but I do not care. It is the sweetest sound I have heard. I tell him stories, I bake cookies for him, I take him to the park. I do everything I could not do when he was born, because his other grandmother, because Natalie is still his grandmother, although that reality hurts me, was busy trying to destroy me. Natalie and I have never spoken again. When Jason picks up Matthew from her house, she sends me indirect messages, poisonous comments that Matthew repeats without understanding. Mama, Mommy says you are bad that you took her house. And what do you think, my love? I think you make the best cookies in the world, and for now, that is enough. Someday, when Matthew is older, I will tell him my version of the story. I will teach him that things are not always as they tell us, that there are multiple truths, multiple perspectives, but that will be when he is ready, when he can understand the complexity of human relations, the pain we can cause each other, even when we love each other. For now, I just want to be his grandmother, the one who loves him unconditionally, the one who is present, the one who chose to save herself, to be able to be here for him. Sometimes I think about the house, my house, The house I built with my hands and that I had to let go to be able to fly. Rose tells me the Miller family takes good care of it, that the garden is prettier than ever, that the hydrangeas grew wild and beautiful, that the children play in the patio where Jason played, and it gives me peace to know the house has life, that it did not become a battlefield, that it serves, for what it should always serve, be a home, a refuge, a place where happy memories are built. Natalie and Jason never lived there, never possessed it, never turned it into what they wanted, and that, in some strange way, is my victory. Not because I took something from them, but because I took their power over me, their ability to use what I loved as a weapon against me. The other day, Patricia asked me if I regretted anything. Yes, I told her. I regret not leaving sooner, waiting so long, letting it get to the point of the wax in the bathroom. I should have left as soon as I saw the first signs, as soon as Natalie started erasing me. Why did you not do it? Because I was afraid. Afraid of losing Jason, afraid of being alone, afraid of admitting my daughter-in-law hated me, afraid of accepting my son had chosen wrong, and now I understand fear makes us prisoners, keeps us in places that destroy us, convinces us enduring is braver than leaving. But it is not true. Sometimes true bravery is letting go, is saying, this is killing me, and I choose to live. Would you say something to women going through what you went through? I thought about that question for a long time. I would tell them to trust their intuition, that if something feels wrong, it is probably because it is wrong, that they are not crazy, that they are not exaggerating, that family abuse exists in all its forms and does not always leave visible bruises. I would tell them their life is worth more than any house, any inheritance, any relationship. I would tell them saving themselves is not selfishness, it is survival. I would tell them it is never too late to start over, that I started at 58, and these 3 years have been the freest of my life. I would tell them forgiveness is a process that they do not have to forgive to heal, that they can choose peace without needing reconciliation. And I would tell them life after trauma is possible. It is not the same life, it is different. But it can be beautiful, it can be full, it can be yours. This morning while opening the coffee shop, I saw my reflection in the door glass. I saw a 61-year-old woman, hair with gray strands. I no longer try to hide wrinkles around the eyes that tell stories of laughter and tears, hands that have worked, that have built, that have let go. And for the first time in a long time, I liked what I saw. Not because she is perfect, but because she is a survivor. Not because everything went as planned, but because I learned to improvise when the plan failed. Not because I have no scars, but because those scars are evidence of battles I won. Battles against manipulation, against abuse, against the system that favors those who lie better. But above all, battles against myself. Against my fear, against my need to be loved, even at the cost of my own destruction. Last night I dreamed of my grandmother, the one who gave me the rosary, the one who raised me when my mother could not. In the dream, we were sitting in her old kitchen. She was kneading dough. I watched her. "My child," she told me without turning to look at me, "did you understand yet?" "What, Grandma?" "That sometimes you have to burn bridges to be able to build new paths." "But it hurts to burn bridges." "Of course it hurts, but it hurts more to stay trapped on an island that is sinking just because you are afraid to swim." I woke up with tears on my cheeks, but they were tears of relief, of understanding. My grandmother was right as always. If my story serves for something, I hope it serves for this. So a woman somewhere sitting in her house, feeling something is wrong, but without being able to explain what reads this and says, "I am not crazy. What I feel is real." So a mother who sees her son drift away due to another person's manipulation knows she is not alone. It is not her fault. That a mother's love is not always enough to counteract the poison of manipulation. So an older woman who thinks it is too late to start over reads this and says, if she could at 58, I can now. So we all understand letting go is not giving up. It is freeing oneself. That leaving is not abandoning it, is saving oneself. That starting over is not failing, it is being reborn. Today is Sunday, my day off. Jason comes with Matthew in an hour. We are going to the park to paddle on the lake to eat ice cream to make new memories that someday Matthew will tell his own children. I baked cookies last night, the ginger ones I always made in my house in the suburbs. That house that is no longer mine, but will always carry my spirit. I put on my favorite sweater, the sky blue one I bought at a market a year ago. I take my bag, the cookies go down the stairs of my building. The sun shines. The city wakes up with that characteristic noise horns voices life. And I walk toward the park where we will meet with my head high, with my heart lighter than it has been in years, because I understood something fundamental. Life always collects its debts. You do not need revenge. You do not need to take justice into your own hands. You just need to live. Live well. Live free. Live on your own terms. And the universe takes care of the rest. Natalie lost her reputation. She lost her marriage. She lost the respect of her own son eventually, when he grows up and understands. Jason lost years of peace. He lost his relationship with me for a time. He learned painful lessons I wish he had not had to learn. I lost my house. I lost years of tranquility. I lost the illusion of the perfect family, but I gained something worth more than all that together. I gained myself back, and that no one can take from me. In the distance, I see Jason. He comes walking, holding Matthew's hand. My grandson runs towards me when he sees me. "Mama, Mama!" I lift him in my arms. I kiss his chubby cheeks. I breathe that baby smell that is already leaving because he is growing too fast. "Hello, my love. Ready for our adventure?" "Yes, Dad says we are going to see ducks." "That's right, and ice cream after." Matthew claps excitedly. Jason arrives. He kisses my forehead like he did when he was a boy. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, son." We look at each other, and in that look is everything we have lived. All the pain, all the forgiveness, all the road we have yet to travel. But there is also something new, something we did not have before. Honesty, respect, understanding that both are human, imperfect, capable of hurting and healing each other. "Ready?" he asks. "Ready." The three of us walk toward the park, Matthew in the middle holding our hands, swinging between us, laughing with that clear laugh of children who do not yet know pain. And while we walk, I think about everything that happened to get here. The wax in the bathroom, the lawyer's letters, the sale of my house, the bus to the city, the nights crying, the days rebuilding, and I think it was worth it. Every tear, every moment of fear, every night wondering if I made the right decision. It was worth it because I am here, alive, free, walking toward the future, holding my grandson's hand. And if my story helps just one woman open her eyes, to trust her intuition, to save herself before it is too late, then all the pain and loss will have been worth it. Because I am no longer the Margaret who stayed silent, the one who yielded to keep the peace, the one who made herself small so others felt big. I am the Margaret who chose to live, who chose to save herself, who chose her dignity over comfort. And that Margaret, that woman who was reborn at 58, is the woman I should have always been, the woman I finally am, and God willing, the woman I will continue to be until my last day,